Welcome to the astrology of December 2025. We are closing out a year of wild, unexpected change to be continued in 2026. Quick recap of 2025. We got electrified by Uranus, the great awakener, in shocking news generating Gemini. We sampled the sparks of new possibility and fresh starts with Saturn and Neptune transiting in fiery risk taking Aries. And now in December, we begin a transitional month, which is going to take us into the new era of 2026, when Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune will firmly be anchored into their new signs for good. Quick preview of 2026. We're going to feel this new era almost right out of the gate as Saturn and Neptune come together, conjoining in Aries at 0 degrees on February 20th, preceded by a super activating solar eclipse in Aquarius that will square discombobulating Uranus. So in 2026, we can expect an enormous global shift, the likes of which we have not yet experienced in our lifetimes. And the question is, how is December preparing us for this continued transformational change in 2026? This and more is what I'm excited to share with you in part 1 of this video. Big picture in December, we'll experience the expansive, adventurous fire of Sagittarius season, which I love for its celebratory, festive nature. It is time to have fun. Celebrate the holidays if you do. However, there's a plot twist, which I'll get to in a moment. Then we're going to step into ambitious Capricorn, setting our sights on our goals and our intentions for the new year. The great news is the entire month, Mercury will be in direct motion, supporting us to move forward with more clarity, grace, and ease. So in part 1 of this video, my friend, I will be sharing with you the key transits and their dates for December, who will feel the new and full moons most intensely. And as always, I'll be sharing tips for you on how we can use these energies to feel most empowered in December. Watch part 1 because if you skip to your 12 sign readings, you're going to miss some of the most important nuances and wisdom on how we can move through this energy. In part 2, I'll be doing your monthly horoscopes. Watch your rising sign. This will tell you where these transits are happening in your chart and in your life. And also watch your sun and moon signs for further themes and intuitive messages. I will also be pulling an oracle card for each of the signs as well. So now that you have the bigger picture overview, we can go a little bit deeper. But before we do, I want to say hello and welcome. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm so glad that you're here. This is a like-minded community. If you are highly sensitive, empathic, on a spiritual journey, you are in the right place. Be sure and take a moment to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell as well so you don't miss a video and we can stay connected. And if we're already acquainted, welcome back. I am so glad that you are here. I'm Betsy. I'm a psychic astrologer and intuitive life coach, and I love empowering you and inspiring you through Western tropical astrology. I also am passionate about meeting you on Zoom for live one-on-one astrology readings and clarity coaching sessions. So if you would like some more support right now, stay tuned till the end of this video. I'll tell you more about my offerings and I have a free gift for you. And if you'd like to get my free inspirational astrology updates, which is the astrology between videos that I write about weekly, go to my website, subscribe for free, and you'll get my free gift, instant download at the same time. As the month begins, we have a party of planets in freedom-seeking, enthusiastic, let's just go have fun Sagittarius. Not only is the sun in Sag, we have Mars and Venus here as well. Sagittarius energy lights the fire of your adventurous spirit. It's where we seek knowledge and learning and growth. We want to have adventures, foreign travel even. And whatever we're learning, whatever is most lighting us up, we want to share that with others. So the first few weeks of the month really support us to expand our horizons. With so many planets in fire, you could definitely feel ignited and excited. And not only this, by the 11th of the month, Mercury will also move into Sagittarius. In December, Mercury is retracing its steps. It's been retrograde most of November, And then in December, it's going back over the degrees that it traveled during the retrograde. We call this the post-retrograde shadow period. By the 16th, it will have moved through all of those degrees and be in brand new territory. So with all of this fiery, expansive, what's my new adventure, Sag energy, what is not to love? This is the plot twist that I want to tell you about. There is a caveat to this optimistic, buoyant feeling energy that so many of us have come to love this time of year. This year, we have Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Pisces taking their last trip through the last degrees of Pisces before they leave for good. Saturn will not come back to Pisces for another 29 and a half years, and Neptune will not come back to Pisces in our lifetimes. It's a 184-year cycle. And this is the end of the era that we astrologers have been talking about. But here's the thing. All of these planets in Sagittarius, they square Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And so from December 8th to the 29th, which is most of the month, we're going to have ongoing squares of the Sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. It's a total of 8 squares. And rather than going through them date by date, since they're spanning, like I said, the 8th to the 29th, we're talking about them all at once because they all have themes in common. And what is this? Saturn represents karma, work, accountability, commitments, wisdom, where we are tasked, a Saturn word, we are tasked to go through some very uncomfortable moments often, to put in the extra effort, often because we have karmic obligations, or these were soul lessons that our soul wanted to grow, learn, and expand through. So that's Saturn. Neptune represents a dream, a vision, an ideal. Neptune can take us into fantasy. We can project onto a situation, a person, or a dream. We can project a reality that potentially is not attainable. And so what does this result in? It results in what many of us have come to know Neptune as disillusionment, disappointment, or dissolving. Neptune can do what feels like dissolving. It can wash things away. And so we have associated Neptune, a lot of us too, with loss. And that's painful. That's a grief process, right? So with all the personal planets in Sagittarius squaring Saturn and Neptune during their very last pass in Pisces, you could feel like you're going through an emotional cleanse. You could feel like you are having to surrender to a certain degree or having to double down your efforts. It all depends on whether you want to keep doing what you're feeling tasked by Saturn to do or what you're feeling led to by your Neptunian dream. Some of us are just done, and I have done separate videos for you on both Saturn and Neptune going back into Pisces. So some of us are just very done with something, or there's a habit or a pattern, a way of being, a way of doing our work, Saturn, a way of approaching a soul's longing, Neptune, that isn't working for us anymore. Think of the word sustainable. Is there anything in your life, my friend, where you're like, this isn't sustainable anymore? I can't keep putting my time, effort, and energy into this, or I'm not getting back what I'm putting in, or this has just brought me a sense of defeat. I just don't care anymore. That's a Neptune phrase. I don't care anymore. And in that way, it frees and liberates us from having to continue to plod along with something that our soul has already moved on from. But it can take the human self a little more time to catch up to the soul's plan. And that's what you could be doing potentially during this last pass in December. You could also find yourself doing forgiveness of yourself and of others, cutting cords, cutting ties, finally releasing a relationship or a chapter of your life or a project or even a whole career. For example, if you're going through a divorce or you're retiring, those are major life changes. Or if you're an empty nester for the first time, or you're going through a surgery, there's always a grief process, something that most of us don't anticipate. Almost always a grief process is part of a surgery as well, even if it's wonderfully successful. So I encourage you to think of it this way. In 2026, we are stepping into a brand new soul territory. We have not been here before. As of January 26th, I believe it is, Neptune will move back into Aries to stay. And then on February 14th, Saturn will move back into Aries for good. And together, Saturn and Neptune symbolize a new dream, a fresh start, a new soul's longing, wanting to bring that into reality. So think of 2026 as your brand new life or your brand new chapter, whatever feels most resonant for you. There is a soul essence. There is an ephemeral part of us that maybe we can't touch, see, feel, or even fully grasp right now that is coming online. It has not yet been given expression by us in this lifetime. And so, in order to be able to do that, we have to let the old self that has already died, that has already turned to goo in the chrysalis, we have to let that part of us leave so that the new soul essence can be birthed fully as the butterfly. And big picture, we can't bring past emotional baggage with us into this new territory. We are supported to release, and very specifically in Pisces energy, we're supported to release self-sacrifice, overgiving, feeling powerless or victimized, but in truth, we didn't set clear boundaries. We're meant to set those clear boundaries. And because this is a new territory, it can feel very uncomfortable. That's a square, very uncomfortable, tense, pressure-filled, but it activates us to do things differently, make new choices. And if you feel at a crossroads during this time, it would be very natural. If you are trying to make a decision and you're feeling at all torn about which way to go, you might want to give yourself a little bit of time to surrender and trust the process. And remember, karmic endings, fated moments, new soul-connected relationships, all of these things can be part of this process and this transit as well. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time on those themes because they run through the entire month. Now, on December 4th, we have a full supermoon. We feel supermoons more intensely. A full supermoon in the sign of communicative Gemini. And in Gemini energy, we want to have fun. We want to be spontaneous. We want to get together with our soul sisters and our soul brothers. It's the girls just want to have fun sign, in my opinion, but I'm a Gemini sun, so I could be biased. Gemini is connected to all things mercurial. So this could be a very busy time for you. Lots of things that you're doing, that you're putting in order, that you're taking care of. Communication, being social, coffee dates, or just the so-called random conversations that we have that tend to spark magical feeling synchronicities and excitement. Now, I'm going to do a separate video for you on this full moon like I do for all the new and full moons. But in a nutshell, we have lots of planets in water. Mercury will still be in Scorpio, harmonizing with Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune. That's going to bring in some really nice flow. But the moon, the full moon itself, the sun and the moon opposing each other, will be squaring the lunar nodes in Pisces and Virgo. And this will bring those themes that I just spoke about the squares to Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. This will bring those themes up for us. It will feel tense for a lot of us. You could feel a little bit hemmed in. You could be asking, what are my next steps? Am I on track? And not feel clear during this full moon. But on the other hand, full moons can bring illuminations. They can bring revelations. But I believe during this full moon, a lot of us are going to feel like we are at that crossroads, that fork in the road, and we need to make a decision. We will feel this energy through the 5th of the month. And if you feel a pressure to realign yourself with your authentic expression, with your soul's path, that's your spirit talking to you. My best tip for you in this moment is make small changes in how you do things. That could go a long way. Be open, be flexible, and ask yourself, what one thing could I do differently that would contribute to a more long-term sustainable success or my own happiness and fulfillment? Who will most feel this full moon in Gemini? It's happening at 13 degrees. So those of you who have planets or points between 9 and 17 degrees of the mutable signs, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, or Virgo, you will feel it most intensely. We're all going to feel it collectively. Much more to come when I do a video on this full moon. On December 6th, Mercury in Scorpio is going to trine Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. The deep water of Mercury in Scorpio, passionate. There's an inner detective with Scorpio energy. There's a desire to get to the truth, and that's going to happen because it's Mercury. Trining Jupiter in Cancer, we want to expand, we want to feel emotionally secure. So I love this transit. This is news, communication, new ideas, new possibilities, new information, expanding you from the inside out. On December 7th, Mercury in Scorpio is going to make a trine to Saturn in Pisces. Remember, Saturn is our foundation. It's our wisdom. It's put in the effort and you will reap the rewards. So Mercury, again, this is just the next day. This could be the same information that we just got with the Jupiter transit, or it could be new information or new aha moments, illuminations that solidify something, because that's Saturn. Saturn wants us to create a solid, sustainable foundation for something long-term that is going to bring us lasting fulfillment. So I love these transits, especially happening on the heels of what could be, for some of you, a bit of a tense Gemini full moon. Now, on December 10th, Neptune in Pisces, which has been retrograde, is going to turn direct. Saturn in December is already direct. It turned direct toward the end of November. Now Neptune is turning direct. What does this mean? By their nature, because Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, it's connected to the 12th house, which is often past life experiences or something that is coming full circle and culminating. By the nature of this transit, we are looking at the past. We are clearing our emotions from very difficult, challenging experiences we've had. But with Neptune direct, it's more, okay, what do you want for your future vision? What is the dream of your heart now? So I love this because you could be starting to feel more excitement for the future that's ahead. However, we could still be clearing some emotional stuff. I think this month, it will not be surprising if we have stuff come up, memories, for example, nostalgia, that's very Pisces, coming up from maybe endings that happened a long time ago. You could have gotten divorced years ago and said, I'm so over that relationship, and yet something comes up from that again. Because this is the final clearing out of Neptune in Pisces energy for our lifetimes. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to any messages that are coming through your dreams or meditation experiences. They could be quite powerful during this time. Now, also on December 10th, Mercury in Scorpio is going to make an opposition to the Great Awakener Uranus, which is still retrograde in Taurus. This is an important date, and you could feel this like any of these transits. You could feel a day or two before, a day or two after, in addition to the exact date. But this one you want to pay close attention to, and there's no way we can miss it because it's Uranus after all, and a Uranus opposition can be quite shocking, discombobulating news and information that comes out of the blue, for example. But this one is especially important because Mercury made an opposition to Uranus during the Scorpio new moon, and that was quite an intense new moon that happened November 19th and 20th, depending on your time zone. And we're circling back to that again. So whatever happened for you during that new moon, you could see a theme showing up or something that was maybe unsettled, perhaps getting resolved during this opposition, or a reversal. We had quite a wild stock market just after that new moon, as I thought that we would have, but we could return to that volatility, or we could just keep having that volatility all of December. We're going to have to see how that goes. Fortunately for this month, we don't have as much Uranus activity, and I say fortunately because our nervous systems can only take so much. We are downloading new light codes. We are becoming the new humans, I believe, with these Uranus transits. Uranus is giving us a transmission of new energy, but our physical bodies are much more dense, and we have to be able to assimilate this energy. So it's good to get a bit of a break from it this month, other than that transit. Now, on December 11th, this is when Mercury will leave Scorpio and it will re-enter Sagittarius, and we will then retrace our steps over the degrees that Mercury was retrograde in Sag until we get to December 16th, and that's when we move on, Mercury in Sag, brand new territory, new degrees. And so that tends to make us feel like, now I can make plans. Even if we're not consciously thinking of it as, Mercury was retrograde and I put this off, now I can do it. There's a feeling that we get, especially highly sensitive people. And with Mercury in Sag, you can just feel like you're ignited, you're excited. There's something you want to plan. There's something that you want to take action on. On December 14th, Mars will leave Sagittarius and enter the Earth sign of Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, meaning that it does very well here. But Mars in Sag and Mars in Capricorn are very different energies. In Capricorn, Mars means business, dedication to the work. disciplined, success oriented. And as long as we don't put our own work, our own goals above the interests of others, in other words, we don't mow anyone over with our Mars and Capricorn energy, as long as we are conscious of playing well with others, this can be a very productive time. On December 18th, Venus will trine Chiron. I love this because Chiron represents a core wound of abandonment, betrayal, or shame, and we all came into this lifetime with a core wound. We are meant to work on healing it, and as we do our own emotional healing work, that wound becomes our greatest strength. Hence the archetype of the wounded healer. We're able to help others through what we've learned. So Venus trining Chiron, a trine is the most flowing aspect. It's the easiest aspect. It happens almost without any conscious effort. And this means in Venusian themes, beauty, love, money, pleasure, and also our physical vitality and our health. If you've been holding on to any hurt, this is a lovely, lovely transit for releasing that pain and feeling revived again. On December 19th, we're going to have a new moon in Sagittarius at 28 degrees. And what is so interesting is that we will have had between September 2025 and March 2026, we will have had 7 consecutive new moons at 28 degrees. Do you know how you can't make this stuff up? This is so auspicious. And what it reflects is the fact that we are at an ending point of this era, 28 degrees. It's 1 degree away from the very last degree of a sign. 7 consecutive new moons. New moons are new beginnings, fresh starts, a brand new manifestational cycle. So it's helping us clear out the old energy, the old era, the old self that has died and is releasing. But also it's 28, which reduces to a number 10. The 1 plus the 0 of the 10 is new beginnings amplified, pure potential, fresh starts, with a promise of abundance if we align our mindset with the truth of our potential, the truth that we are abundant beings. And what I love most about this new moon is that it's conjunct Venus, speaking of abundance, because Venus rules our preferences. It rules the things that we love. It rules, do you want an almond croissant or a jelly donut? Do you prefer an everything bagel with garlic cream cheese or a maple bar? We all have different preferences, right? You can tell I love sweets. But also Venus rules abundance in all ways: money, beauty, pleasure, comforts, fun, joy, creativity. So I love that Venus is conjunct the sun and the moon. However, and this is kind of a big however, what will the sun, moon, and Venus all square during this new moon? You guessed it, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Once again, there is that uncomfortable square that could lead to disappointment, disillusionment, feeling unsupported, processing a loss. However, the antidote to this is seeking healing in divine connection, because the highest octave of Neptune and Pisces is the divine realms, is bringing heaven to earth, is channeling unconditional love. So these are some things that you might want to do. And I do have a meditation for you that you can download on my website that does connect you to your spiritual guides, to unconditional love. And at the end of the meditation, you get a gift from one of your guides. So that could be perfect for this whole month, but especially this new moon. If you're feeling at all dejected or let down during this new moon, I encourage you to take action to partner with your own spirit. What does that mean? That sounds like such an abstract concept. I give you lots of tools for deepening your connection with your spirit in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes. That's why I wrote it. That's what it's about. That's what I absolutely needed myself when I was going through a divorce after 22 years of marriage and many other life transitions that I've had. And that's how I found solace and comfort and was able to even continue and still am able to continue on the spiritual path when at times I too can feel lonely. I too can feel, where are my people? Where is my love? You get the idea. It's just something that I think humans on a spiritual path go through, and these tools can be tremendously helpful. Now, I'm getting excited to tell you this because the energy is going to shift palpably on December 21st. Why is this? The sun is going to leave Sagittarius, and I do love Sag energy, so I'm sorry to say goodbye to the fire, but I'm excited to say hello to the earth energy of Capricorn. The sun is going to enter Capricorn, and Capricorn energy harmonizes beautifully with the Saturn, Neptune, Pisces energy. Keep in mind, though, that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It's unlike Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. Expansive, optimistic Jupiter and Saturn ruling Capricorn says, what do I have to do? What's on my task list? There is a more serious tone to Capricorn energy, or it can be, let's all go do something fun, but let's make it a 10-mile hike. I want to feel accomplished. That's Capricorn. And we have Capricorn season every year this time of year. And this is what often gets us to think about the new year and planning and intention setting, whatever you want to call it. So my tips for you for Capricorn season are, this is a really good time to set New Year's intentions that come from your heart and soul, that come from a period of reflection. Otherwise, they're not going to, be meaningful or last anyway. You could ask yourself, and these could be journaling prompts, what do I want to build, achieve, or feel successful in? What is my current definition of success? A lot of us have changed our definitions of success. You could have been a striver before, and now your definition of success could be peace and calm and a warm, wonderful cup of tea in the morning. Another prompt, how can I create a solid, sustainable foundation? And you will probably be feeling this Capricorn energy, this drive or desire to make some sort of a plan or to experience success in 2026 in the Capricorn area of your chart, which I am going to illuminate for you where that is when we do the 12-sign readings. On December 24th, Christmas Eve, for those of you who celebrate, Venus is going to enter Capricorn. So we're going to have this changeover on Christmas Eve from Sag energy, the life of the party, to Venus in Capricorn, which if Venus in Capricorn had a love language, I think it would be acts of service. What can I do for you? Because Capricorn is a provider energy. I want to provide for you. I want to improve your quality of life. That's Capricorn. So it's practical, it's goal-oriented, and if you have to put anything together on Christmas Eve, like a bicycle, or you're building a sauna for your beloved, you will be well supported with Venus in Capricorn. On December 27th, Mercury, which will be in Sag through the end of the month, Mercury in Sag will make a beautiful trine to Chiron in Aries. So we had Venus trine Chiron, very healing. Now we have Mercury trining Chiron, once again helping us to heal a core wound. And because it's Mercury, I encourage you, if you're feeling any emotional pain, talk to your inner child. It's a perfect thing, talking, Mercury. And if you don't know what to say to your inner child, watch my video on healing your inner child. That is linked in the description box below. And finally, on December 31st, New Year's Eve, we're going to have a beautiful alignment of Mars and Capricorn aligning with the lunar nodes of destiny and fate. It almost sounds like one of those dreamy, romantic, but kind of schmaltzy Netflix Christmas rom-coms. And I say this because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and it has its own connection to karmic associations, soul lessons, learning and growth. This is where Mars is. Aligning with the lunar nodes of destiny and fate, aka karma. What this means is that our soul's desire, our goals, what our heart most wants, is now aligned with our soul's destiny. It's almost like all of the stars coming together on New Year's Eve. That's why I love this so much. So you might be celebrating that you feel aligned with the divine. You might have a karmic, fated, or destined moment, a tete-a-tete on New Year's Eve. I mean, how cute would that be? Or you might create your own New Year's ritual or do this with a friend or a loved one. Write down your heart's desires. You could do some scripting. You could have a vision board making party. But any of these, my friend, could be a joyful and very empowering and powerful way to activate your dreams and your magic, your co-creative power to create what will undoubtedly be, for many of us, certainly collectively, and many of us individually, a life-changing 2026. Okay, my beautiful friends, let us do your 12-sign readings now. Listen to your rising sign. Your rising sign tells you where in your natal astrology chart you are likely to feel the transits that I'm going to speak about. Also, listen to your sun and moon signs because there are themes and messages that may very well be relevant for you as well. And we're going to start with Capricorn because, beautiful Capricorn, we are about to enter your season. Happy, happy birthday to all of you beautiful Capricorn babies. Now, the month begins with the sun and several personal planets still in Sagittarius. In fact, we have a whole party of planets in Sagittarius when the month opens, and they are going to be transiting your 12th house. The sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, all in Sagittarius, transiting your 12th house. Now, Mercury will take a little bit of time to get into Sag. It's starting in Scorpio. But for a big part of this month, you'll have all of these planets transiting your 12th house. What does this mean? On a very practical level, it can mean you're more tired. It can mean we call this the house of rest and retreat. We call it the house of the mystic. This is where it's the other realms. It's not of this world. So you could feel more of a need to rest. You could feel more of a need to meditate, to contemplate things going on in your life or your future. It's a much more inward focus. It's a very personal part of the chart. It's also connected to dreams. So your dreams are often more intense during a 12th house transit. And this is multiple 12th house transits with so many planets moving through this house. Also connected to your psychic abilities, your ability to channel. You might want to do automatic writing or any other spiritually based practice that you enjoy. Even when you're walking out in nature, you may notice that you feel more connected to the divine. So this is a beautiful transit to deepen your intuitive abilities and guidance. Beautiful for that. Now remember, Sag energy is fiery, adventure seeking, freedom loving. So your adventures could be inward adventures. They could be deep adventures within your soul, or they could be, you could get really excited about foreign lands because the 12th house is also the house of foreign lands. You may decide you want to move to another country or visit another country, or just explore that possibility. This is also the house of karmic bonds. And I know that many of us attribute negative things to karmic bonds, but I like to think of karmic bonds as those relationships in which we learn a lot and we teach others and they teach us. So this can be a time that you have those fated meetings with people, meeting up with people that you haven't met before, for example. It can be really exciting in that way. Now, all of these planets, this is really a signature of the energy of this month, which I talked about in part 1 of this video at more length. In a nutshell, all of these personal planets in transiting through Sagittarius in your 12th house are going to square Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces have been transiting your 3rd house. So, and Neptune has been retrograde. It will station direct. Saturn will still be retrograde all of December. And this means that we are going back over the degrees where Saturn and Neptune have already been. And we're going through, first, you may feel this as an inner reckoning. You may feel it as your past. You may feel it as what is working in my life and what isn't working in my life. Really, that's what this transit is about. It's about what comes with me into the new era, into next year. We're preparing. This is such an important month, the last month of the year before we go into 2026, which I believe is going to be an epic year. I believe we're going to have, I want to use the word massive, but I'm afraid that's going to sound it's going to sound like too dramatic. But the bottom line is we're going to have deep global change next year. And these planets, these squares to Saturn and Neptune in your 3rd house, which is your local environment, it's relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, it's your mindset, It's the third house is websites. It's if you are self-employed or you have your own, do your own freelance work, that work falls on a very practical level in your third house. It's learning and growth. It's our inner narrative. It's the story we tell about our life. So this is one last opportunity with these planets squaring Saturn and Neptune. We feel the squares, right? The squares get us into action. The squares motivate us. The squares have us do things like, in this case, with Pisces, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces transiting through your third house, this could motivate you to make a shift in your mindset. It could motivate you to, you're having such a deep spiritual transit with all the 12th house action. This could motivate you to really understand on a deeper level that you are the co-creator of your life. A lot more I could say about this, but I don't want to make it too long. Don't be surprised if you feel done with something. Don't be surprised if you are letting go of, and this is very positive if you are, self-sacrificing. Anything that drains you is favored always, but especially during this transit. Don't be surprised if there's a dream that you had or a vision you had and it's over for you now. Also, you could feel disillusioned or disappointed, or you could feel like, something has ended and shifted, and that could bring about a grief process, or you could be finishing out a grief process. You can make small changes because all of these energies are in the mutable signs, and the mutable signs help us to make small changes, to be flexible. Working, that phrase, don't work harder, work smarter, that is a perfect phrase for this transit. And having better boundaries and being more discerning, all of these things will help you to move through these squares. And that's what these squares really want to do. They're really showing us what's worth it to me to keep going with and what isn't worth it to me. And I love the question, what would self-love do here? Now, on December 4th, we have a Gemini full moon in your 6th house of daily work, habits, and lifestyle. And full moons happen on an axis. So the 6th house is where the moon will be, and the 12th house is where the sun will be. And we've already talked a lot about the 12th house. So that's your mystical house. That's your house of the other realms. This full moon, a culmination, a graduation moment, a manifestation, an ending, something completing. This full moon is helping you, Capricorn, to release, or, maybe this is like a wonderful culmination of work that you've been doing in terms of your daily work, what you do for a job, if you have a job. Or this could have to do with a daily habit. It could have to do with releasing a habit. It could have to do with you coming out of an addiction, like a phase of an addiction. And addictions can be anywhere from something very mild to, something more that is substantially affecting our life in negative ways. This is also the house of lifestyle and the house of pets. So some of you could get a new pet during this time. That could be your manifestation, your full moon manifestation, but it's Gemini, and Gemini is connected to our mindset and our communication. So you can see that theme running through your whole month. And then on December 19th, you're going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. And again, that new moon's in your 12th house. So you can see what a spiritual month this is. I think this is going to be a month, and I forgot to say this at the beginning. My headline for you was all points lead to a new identity, even a reinvention. And that's what I think this month is for you, Capricorn. I think you are being supported to reinvent yourself if you're ready for that, if you want a new identity, or to create a deeper connection to your spiritual identity. That's all the 12th house action that's going on this month. And the new moon is going to help you with that, because new moons are new beginnings, they're new fresh cycles, and it's going to help you to plant seeds for, if you want this, a deeper connection with the divine. And just know that that is what my book is about, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. I help you to partner with your soul. And that is linked in the description box below if that calls to you. The focus is going to shift after the new moon in Sag. When finally, Capricorn, you're probably like, when are we going to get to me, right? Finally, on the 21st, when the sun enters your sign, the focus will be in Capricorn season, yay, and the sun will be in the first house of you, your identity, your roles, your status. And that brings us back to identity, right? So you could think of the whole first 3 weeks of the month as preparing you from the inside out, the deeper reflection, the meditations, the quiet times, the walks in nature, the epiphanies you get perhaps during that time. And then we get the I'm coming out when the focus shifts to you when we get to your Capricorn season, when the sun enters your sign. And know that we've got by the 14th of the month, we'll have Mars in your sign, and by the 24th, we'll have Venus in your sign. So by the 24th, Christmas Eve, for those of you who celebrate, I love that Venus is going into Capricorn on Christmas Eve. We will have a stellium, 3 or more planets in the first house. And Mars in your first house can have you really attending to your physical body. It can make you more assertive, and it can bring that drive and mojo back if you haven't felt that up until this point. So beautiful, Capricorn. With that, I want to shuffle for you and pull a card, and we'll see what the cards have to say. And I want to take a moment to thank you for your time, energy, and presence. Thank you for liking this video. If you could take a moment to tap like, if you could leave me a comment. I love your comments. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. It makes a huge difference. It really helps me. So now let us see. And I am so grateful for you. Now let us see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Capricorn. Ooh, you know how I was saying before, be flexible, work smarter, not harder? The card is adaptability, a synonym for flexible, right? It's the Woodwives. I love this card because if you look closely, and I know it's kind of hard to tell because this is a very much of it's a nature being. You could see that this Woodwife has, part it's like it's growing out of a tree, but it is actually like a fairy or a nymph. It's a really abstract image. But what this card is saying is there are these elementals, the elemental family, and they are able to move in time. And of course, in spirit, there is no time. They are able to move through time by being connected to nature, by being connected to the ethereal realms. And what a perfect card for the fact that you're having so many 12th house, so many of the planets are in your 12th house for so much of this month. Adaptability. If you can be adaptable, then things will flow for you so much more easily. And keep in mind, Capricorn, that the Pisces energy, that Saturn-Neptune square, it makes a beautiful sextile to your energy. So that's very harmonious. And if anything that I shared in your December monthly horoscope resonates for you, I would love to hear in the comments. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Hello, beautiful Sag. Happy December. And I'm excited to tell you that as the month opens, there is a party going on. And I know you love a good party, Sag. There is a party going on in the first house of you. We are going to have, as the month opens, the sun in your sign. Of course, the sun entered your sign in November. But we're going to have the sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury in the first house of you. Now, it'll take a little bit of time, and Mercury is now direct in December. Yay. It's going to take a little bit of time for Mercury to get out of the Sag energy and into your energy. But during this month, those 4 personal planets will move through your first house. And I know technically the sun is a luminary, not a planet. Got that. But why is this so important? Well, first of all, it's pretty cool because that's a lot of empowerment for you. When we have planets moving through our first house, it's really that you're on. It's like you're on, not in a stressful way, but just the light of all of these planets is moving through you. You're being activated. And that's, it can be a very busy time. You can have a lot of communication with other people because the first house is across from your seventh house of, relationships, committed relationships, especially. But you may find that you feel like you're coming alive again, like you are waking up after a long slumber. After all, during Scorpio season, you had all of those energies in your 12th house, and that's a preparation time. The 12th house prepares us for this coming out, this party in the house of you. Now, what does it mean in practical terms? It means that your roles, your identity, the sense of who you are, and the titles that you would give yourself, your status could be your relationship status or your status at work or just your status in life. And it can be the things we can identify with the things that we love to do, not just the title that we have. Also your vitality, your physical body. You may want to do some sort of, we used to call it a makeover. Now we call it a glow up. I know I'm dating myself, but the fact that it makes me laugh when I say the word glow up, I'm clearly dating myself. However, you might want to get a glow up for this month, and you may not even need to do anything for a glow up. You may just feel like you are glowing up already with so much lovely energy in your first house, especially Venus. When Venus transits our first house, we often feel more beautiful. Now, having said that, Sag, know that we are going to have, and I speak about this in part 1 of the video at deeper length and what it's about. We are going to have all of the planets going through your sign, squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces for the very last time. What is the purpose of this on a deep level? The planets are there's always a purpose to how they're growing us, right? Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, and I do have one separate video on each of those transits. They are, this very last pass of Saturn and Neptune are helping us to release what is done for us. Plain and simple, they're helping us to release, wash away what is no longer relevant in our lives, where we've over-sacrificed, where we have, a lot of times it comes from altruism, but where we've had it. We're not doing it anymore. We're done. And you could, to me, the telltale symptom of that is I don't care. I just don't care. And it doesn't mean that you don't care. It means that you're just over it. You're just over it. And often we say, like, I just don't care. And that can be so positive, especially if it's where you used to care, for example, about what somebody else thought, or where it was hard to set a boundary because you were concerned about how that would affect another person. But now you realize I have to take care of my needs. Now, where is this happening for you? Saturn and Neptune are transiting you in your 4th house of home, family, childhood conditioning, the mother line, ancestral healing. So what that means is that Saturn and Neptune transiting your 4th house, they've been asking you, what do you want? Together, Saturn and Neptune make a dream real. That's sort of the light of Saturn Neptune conjunct, is let's make a new dream real. And you could have felt that pretty intensely in your 5th house because Saturn and Neptune were in Aries. They retrograded back into your 4th house. Now they're going to go back into your 5th house in February, together in February. But staying on December for a moment, because this 4th house is also the house of roots and belonging and your sanctuary and where you want your home to be, and are you happy in the home that you're in, you could feel some pressure or some tension to work something out in this area of your life with all the Sag planets squaring this. And you could feel potentially some tug of war or an inner conflict around you and your identity and what you want to do and how you want to express yourself versus maybe what a family member thinks, or do you need to move to really take care of what your heart wants, that kind of thing. You get the idea. What stays and what goes, what's sustainable, what's no longer sustainable for you. On December 4th, we have the Gemini full moon, and the full moon in Gemini is happening in your 7th house of committed relationships. It's your opposite sign. And so you could feel this in any of your relationships, whether they are romantic, professional, business, best friendships, anyone who's like an anchor in your life. And the sun will be in the first house of you. So again, this Gemini full moon really highlights your relationships. It's an ending, completion, manifestation, a full circle moment, and a karmic or soulmate relationship could really be highlighted during this time. And I think for a lot of people, a lot of the mutable signs, which you are, Sag, there's going to be a choice point here. It's going to feel like a turning point month because of these squares to Saturn and Neptune. And during the Gemini full moon, and I'll do a separate video for you all on this Gemini full moon, but during this full moon, it is squaring the nodes of the moon. And that brings up fated and karmic connections, meetings, relationships. So that could be part of your experience of the full moon. And then on December 19th, the new moon in your sign is happening in the first house of you. So you could see so much energy this month in the first house of you. And this is the first several weeks of the month. So most of the month. And it's asking you, we set intentions for new beginnings, we plant our seeds, all of that. And so it's asking you, what do you want your new cycle or chapter to look like? Where do you want to be? Where are you headed? What if somebody asked you to fill in the blank of the sentence, I am, what would you say? It's an emotion or a quality a lot of the time that help us to manifest what we want. Your health, your vitality, how energized or not energized you feel, that could be part of that as well. And some of you may be working toward a specific role. You could be wanting to change a job, wanting to get a promotion, wanting to have your own business, something about a relationship, deepening one, visioning a new one. This can even affect your home, family, career, all of those, because it's an angle of your chart, the first house. And so often then that just reverberates out to all the angles of our chart. So any area of your life, and especially your vitality, the focus will shift for you when we have Capricorn season, which means the sun leaves your sign and it enters Capricorn on December 21st. And when it does so, it's going to land in your second house of earned income. So now, having had all these planets move through your first house and this is when we often build strength. We become more assertive. You would have had Mars move through that house as well. We get stronger and we feel a little bit more, authentic and clear in our own skin. And then you get to the second house and it's like, okay, how is my earned income? How is my material security? Are there any changes that I want to make here? Self-esteem, self-worth, deserving. Mars will, on the 14th of the month, move from your sign into Capricorn, and Venus will move on the 24th into Capricorn as well. So then by the 21st or by the 24th, we'll have a whole stellium of planets in Capricorn. Great for goal setting, very supportive of you, creating any intentions and taking action around your material security. And that's possessions too. And just your self-esteem, boosting your self-esteem if that's something you want. So beautiful, Sag. That is the month for you. I think it's going to be a great month for you, especially with so many of these energies in your sign. The new moon in your sign, that will play out over the next 6 months. And then the Gemini full moon in your seventh house of relationships. It's all very exciting. And before I pull a card, thank you so much. I really want to let you know how much I appreciate you and how much I can't do this without you. If you would take a moment to like this video, if you would take a moment to leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. Please subscribe if you haven't, because that really makes a difference and it really helps me. And now let us see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Sag, for your month of December. Sag. Let's see, Sag. Obstacles are coming down for you. Check out the card. It's a very spiritual card. Whenever I see this card, it reminds me of somebody on stage and they have an audience and they are in the spotlight, or the divine is in the spotlight. It could be saying, put the divine in the spotlight. It's very purple. It's very, to me, very crown chakra, bringing down um, divine support. And you could have felt that you, or at some point this month, you could feel like you have hit a wall, or you could be coming out of that. And this is saying that obstacles are being cleared for you. And you might want to have that as your intention this month. I am clearing out the obstacles. Some of you may feel like you are now in the spotlight, or you're ready to step more into the spotlight. That's what I always see when I look at this card. I see, and you guys tell me what you see. I see a crowd of people here, like an audience. I see this eye, like that could correspond to the third eye. And then I see all of this flowing blue light, spotlight. That can be the throat chakra too. But another reading for this card would be that if you have had any walls up, this is a good time to let your own walls down, because by doing so, you will release obstacles. Whatever you want to claim in the comments below, let me know, Sag. I love hearing from you. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, this month has a strong financial focus for you. And my tip for you is, my encouragement is, make sure to make time for fun, pleasure, and your own creative pursuits as well, so that you have balance this month. The month opens with the sun in fiery, fun-loving Sagittarius, freedom-seeking. This is where we want to have new adventures. It's in your second house of earned income. It's a money house. It's the house of material security. So your focus could be here, because not only are we going to have the sun here, Scorpio, we'll still have Mercury tracing back. Mercury will be direct in December, but it will be retracing its steps over what we call the shadow, doing its post-shadow period in your sign. So that will still be happening the first part of the month, but then Mercury will move into Sag. And when it does, by then we'll have Mars, Venus, and Mercury all in Sagittarius transiting your second house. So oftentimes when the sun transits our second house, and Venus too, there is an increase in money. That's something to really look forward to. However, keep in mind that all of the personal planets, Sun, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Sagittarius, transiting through your second house of earned income, and I want to say too, self-esteem, self-worth, deserving, your possessions, they will all take their turn to square Saturn and Neptune, transiting through your fifth house of love, romance, children, creative expression, your inner muse, your fun and pleasure. That's why I said take time for fun and pleasure too, because squares can be kind of a downer. I have to be honest. Now, it's not necessarily that. Think of it this way. Saturn and Neptune have been transiting through your fifth house, saying, what is the dream you want to make real? Neptune is the vision. Neptune is the ideal. Saturn says, what are we willing to do to make this happen? What is the structure? What is the work that we're putting in? What is the effort? So that's happening. But a square says, are you putting in the efforts that's necessary? A square says, is this something that you still want to be doing? Are you making sure you're not overgiving or self-sacrificing? Is what you're putting into something, are you getting it back? Is it still what you want to do? Do you feel disillusioned or disappointed in love, romance, creativity, or anything to do with children? That could be part of this too. It doesn't mean if you're disillusioned that you should throw it away, but it's asking you multiple times with all these planets pinging that square. They're asking you to really pay attention and decide if this is what you want. Squares put us into action. Squares have us either cutting ties to something, or, what was that expression? Doubling down, I think, is the expression. Like, do we want to work harder at something? It doesn't have to be working harder. It can be working smarter, but having better boundaries, being more discerning, and deciding. It's really a choice point. Do I want to keep doing this? And that, again, is your second house of income and material security, talking to those planets, Neptune, Saturn, in your fifth house of love, romance, children, creative expression. Then on December 4th, we have the Gemini full moon. And this is like all full moons, it's a super moon. We're going to feel it more intensely because of that. It is a culmination, an ending, a manifestation, a graduation moment, something coming full circle. And it's happening in your eighth house which is a financial house, just like your second house that we just talked about, where all the Sag planets will be transiting. It's the eighth house of time, money, and energy shared with others, often with a partner, business partner, or romantic partner. Long-term assets, it's like the investments we have, debts, taxes, retirement funds, all that stuff. It's like our long-term savings stuff. And I know not everybody has savings, but the idea of the eighth house is where we have emotional attachments to things that we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose if we have savings. We don't want to lose our savings. We don't want to lose the things that we worked hard for that we see as our long-term security. That's what this house is. But also it's emotional and sexual intimacy. So it's a deep, deep where we have attachments, where we have power struggles with others sometimes. And, this full moon is saying to you, balance your own self-reliance in money and resources, balance that with how you share that with other people. It's a full moon where you might be having a conversation with somebody that's really important about financial stuff or about your intimacy, whether it's emotional, sexual, or both. Then on December 19th, we have the new moon in Sagittarius. That is again happening in your second house. This is a new beginning, new cycle, all the things that I talked about earlier, self-esteem, self-worth. You get the idea. I won't repeat it. Then finally, when the sun leaves Sagittarius and enters Capricorn, and that's December 21st, then the energy shifts because Capricorn energy is very different from Sag energy, right? Sag is like the fire and where's the party and it's very festive for the holidays and new adventures and thinking about travel. And, of course it's different for all of us. It can be spiritual seeking for you. It can be, with your second house in Sagittarius, it could be like, how can I make money doing something that really inspires me? How can I maybe inspire others? Is there something that I want to learn or teach, or is there a side gig? That kind of thing. That could have come up for you the first part of the month and during the new moon. And then just 2 days after the new moon, because all the new moons we've been having oh my goodness, all the new moons we've been having have been happening at 28 degrees. See, I took having and happening and I made them into one word. Fortunately, I'm a Gemini. We're allowed to do that. Anyway, Capricorn season, it's a very different energy, right? Because whereas Sag is ruled by Jupiter, expansion, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, which is let's get to work. What are your goals? What are your ambitions? What are your New Year's intentions, that kind of thing. So the energy will shift. By the 14th, Mars will be in Capricorn. By the 24th, Venus will be in Capricorn, and it brings the energy down to a different octave. I'm not saying down as in lower octave, just a different octave that is more earth-based and more about building and long-term plans. And it's happening for you, Capricorn season, in your third house. Mindset, communication, your local neighborhood, relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, your inner narrative, what you want to learn and grow. If you're self-employed, all the things we do to keep a business going, our website and the transactions that we make, and could be taxes could be on your mind during this time. Short trips, meetups with other people. The fun of this is coffee dates and the things like that. So that is your month. And Scorpio, because the focus is very strong on your finances, which is great. Scorpios usually love, making sure that their finances are in order and building security and all of that. And you are intensely passionate. That's one of the things I love about your energy, Scorpio. I love your passion. I love your focus. You're very good at focusing. Just make sure to make time for, having fun for no reason, joy for joy's sake. And let us see now what the cards have to say for you. Thank you so much for taking a moment to like this video, for commenting. It really helps me. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. It makes a huge difference. If you have, thank you so much for your support. And let us now see what the cards have to say for you, Scorpio, for your month of December. And I'd love to hear how you're feeling about this month. How does this horoscope sound to you? Are you excited about the month? Are you ready to celebrate the holidays? Let me know. Let me know. I know there are a lot of different holidays. We all celebrate different things, but let me know if you want to share. I love hearing from you. And your card is wandering between realms, straddling worlds. Do you feel like you're straddling worlds? 1 foot in the ethereal realms, 1 foot in this realm. We are going from one, how do I say it? From one era to a new era. This is a month of preparation. I talk about this in part 1 of this video, but for all of us, it's a month of preparation for 2026. The Pisces energy, where we're getting these squares from the Sag to the Neptune and Saturn and Pisces, that resonates. That really flows beautifully with your energy. And when I look at this card, it feels very Piscean to me because of all the purple. But you and Pisces energy, you harmonize, which is beautiful. And so the other world, the other realms, which is associated with the 12th house and the traditional zodiac, and it's very Piscean. You may feel that. You may feel that a lot this month. But if you look closely at this card, the person is in a warrior yoga pose. And they are in their power strongly. And I bet that you had at least some realization, Scorpio, with the Mercury retrograde having happened partly in your sign, partly in Sag, partly in your sign. But don't think that anything's wrong, or I know it's really challenging when you're straddling worlds. Sometimes it really is to be in this earthly realm and have 1 foot in the other realm. I remember that so well when I was going through my divorce. I remember feeling like I am living in 2 different worlds, and that is really hard on the human self. It's hard on our nervous system. It's hard on our functioning. So I really want to validate that for you if you're having that experience. But this card adds up to a 7, 52. It adds up to a 7, which is your divine connection. When we're wandering between realms, it's because we are meant to discover another part of ourselves. We're meant to discover a deeper connection with our soul. So if you want to claim that in the comments below, or anything else you want to share, Scorpio, I love hearing from you. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, let's talk about your December. I think this is going to be a busy month for you, especially in your local activities. A lot is going on, especially the first 3 weeks of the month in your 3rd house of moving and shaking, as I like to call it. I think you're going to experience adventure calling you, and this whole month will culminate with a focus on home, family, and your roots, feeling rooted in your own sanctuary. So let's break it down. The month starts with the sun and several other planets as well, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. By the time we get through the month, the sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus will all have transited through your 3rd house of just what I shared, moving and shaking. It's also your local neighborhood, relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, relationships with landlords, mortgage brokers, all the people that we meet for coffee dates, the people that we see when we're working out in the gym, the conversations we have in the grocery store, all these things. Your short trips, your vehicles, your devices. It's a mercurial house. It affects our electronics and our, if you have a website or just working on computers, which most of us do, learning, growth, your if I didn't say mindset, communication, and your inner narrative, the story that you tell. We all have a story about our life. And this month in particular, we are meant to shift that story. If it isn't taking us into the new era, if it isn't supportive of what we are co-creating going forward, beautiful Libra, what is going to bring this home even more for us is the fact that all this party of planets in Sagittarius, which I love. And by the way, Libra, Sag energy is beautifully harmonious with your energy. It's the fire to your air. It's gorgeous. Makes a beautiful sextile. It can bring opportunities and solutions. I love it. But in and of itself, the Sag energy, all these planets going through your third house, they are going to make a square, which is tension and pressure and gets us activated, gets us into action and motivated. They're going to square Saturn and Neptune, making their very last pass through Pisces in your sixth house. So what does this mean? It means that the sixth house being your house of health, your daily work, your lifestyle, your habits, all the things that we do on a daily basis, whatever you do, whatever a lot of us make a warm drink when we get up in the morning, right? Like my favorite right now is a matcha tea latte, and I heat up my oat milk and I make my matcha, and then I get my little, what do they call it? Those, a frother. I have like really cute frother. It's like, God is in the details, right? And I froth my milk and then I put some turmeric in it. That's my little morning ritual. The first thing I do. I won't bore you with all the other things that I do. But we all have something, most of us, that is like a sweet thing that we do in the mornings when we're just getting started. That's a very sixth house thing. So with Saturn and Neptune transiting through your sixth house, and Saturn and Neptune have been in your sixth house for a long time. Of course, they moved into your seventh house when they entered Aries, and they will go back to your seventh house in Aries. But for now, they are finishing out. We're finishing out this year with Saturn and Neptune in your sixth house. And they're saying, is there anything left that you want to do here in terms of a dream or a vision in your sixth house? Any new work, maybe not working again, maybe instead of having a job, working for yourself, having a vocation instead of a job, your own business, healing. This is really a house of healing. It's health on all levels. So you could be healing from something. You could have, with Saturn and Neptune here, really gotten clear on how you needed to take better care of your body, or you could have changed a routine that was related to the food you eat or the exercise that you do. A habit, you could have changed a habit. So Saturn and Neptune and Pisces were helping us to let go of anything, and still are, anything that's not healthy for us, anything that's not sustainable, overgiving, self-sacrifice, maybe like working harder than you should instead of attending to your body, for example. And so if you still feel like there's more for you to do here, if there's something you've been trying to change, but it's been hard to change, then welcome to the club. I have to tell you that it hasn't been easy. You could have felt disillusioned. You could have felt disappointed. You could feel like you are still trying to make a change that will help you to work not so hard and work smarter, as we say. This is a transit that all Saturn transits want us to have better boundaries, be more discerning. And Neptune, the rose-colored glasses can come off. Something can fade out of our lives. Something could leave our lives, and that's not easy. But if that's happening, it's because either the universe takes it away from us, right? Or because it's in our best interest, or it doesn't mean we don't grieve. I know we have to go through a grief process, of course, and we really want to honor that. Or, we could decide, I'm done with this. I'm so done with this. I have a video for you two videos for you, one on Saturn and one on Neptune, going back into Pisces. A lot of people have really resonated with those. If what I'm saying is resonating for you and you want that support. So that's going on while we want to be all festive and have this wonderful party in Sag. There's a little bit of a want with the Saturn and Neptune squares. but ultimately what that's helping us, it's supporting us to let go of what has to be let go of so that we can soar into 2026, because 2026 is going to be a year of massive change. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But I also don't want to scare anyone. And so it's not a doom and gloom statement. It's just, we are going through, I think it's going to be just quite a year of where we're going to see that change with Saturn and Neptune coming back together and going back into Aries to stay. That is when we have these outer planets coming together in conjunction, exactly, that's when we often see a big shift, a big global shift. Now, back to you. Of course, that was about all of us, including you, but back to you specifically. We're going to have, and I think you're going to love this, full moon in Gemini. It trines your energy, your Gemini air to your air, December 4th. That's happening in your ninth house of expansion. The ninth house is a lovely house to have a full moon because it's a culmination, ending, manifestation, full circle moment in the house of what would bring you a more freedom, what would make you feel more expanded, what new adventure do you want to have, whether it's an armchair adventure or an actual adventure. Do you want to travel? I mean, this is a travel kind of full moon. Some of you could have travel plans, but it's not just travel, it's publishing, broadcasting, podcasting, teaching, sharing your enthusiasm. And it opposes the sun, like all full moons are oppositions. The sun and the moon are opposite each other. It opposes the sun in your third house of what I was talking about before, all the Sag energy, your mindset, the local area. So you could be releasing a belief. The ninth house is also spiritual beliefs. There could be a belief system. There could be something that's been a wall or obstacle in your mindset that you are being freed from during this Gemini full moon. I'll do a separate video for you on it because I have more to say about that. Big surprise, Libra. But I always like to give you guys the good details on everything, and so there's more details to share than we can go into in a horoscope like this. But on December 19th, we have a new moon, new cycle, new time to set intentions for what your heart most wants for the next cycle that will culminate 6 months from now, and that's happening in back to that third house again. New moon in Sag, fire for you. Moving, shaking. What do you want for your local life? Or again, mindset, extended family, sibling relationships. A lot of times when we have a new moon in the third house, there's something we want to shift. Maybe the neighborhood isn't right for us anymore. Maybe we don't want to work out at the same place. Maybe we don't want to do, something we do, people we talk to, things like that regularly. Maybe we want to change that up in some way. Or you could be fine-tuning a website. You could be creating a new website. You could be creating a new business. You could be going out on your own. Those kinds of things too. The energy will shift markedly. Why do I say this on December 21st? Because the sun will leave fiery, fun, let's have a party Sag, and it will enter Capricorn, which is like, okay, what are your goals for 2026? Capricorn energy is ruled by Saturn, very different from Jupiterian ruled Sagittarius. And so Capricorn is like, and I love Capricorn energy. I really do. I mean, I have multiple energies in my chart in Capricorn. Capricorn is what helps us to have enough ambition to meet our goals in life. So it's very helpful in that way. Capricorn energy does square your energy, Libra. So what does that do? It gets you into action, but it can feel tense in the process. Capricorn season will happen in your fourth house of home, family, childhood conditioning, roots, sanctuary, brings up relationships with family members. It brings up, am I happy in my home? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to think about moving? Do I want to remodel or redecorate? For you, Libra, you may really enjoy around this time of year, because of course this happens every year around this time of year, like decorating for the holidays if you like doing that. So, but just a little tidbit for you, Libra, because you have Capricorn in your fourth house, and Capricorn is the provider. You know, a lot of Libras have a strong sense of needing to provide for their loved ones, for their family, and so forth, because that's where we take a lot of responsibility. And so you take a lot of responsibility for fourth house matters. And if you don't have a family of people that you take care of, then maybe you take responsibility for your own inner child, which is a beautiful thing. By the 24th of the month, we'll have Mars and Venus also having moved into Capricorn. We will then have a stellium, 3 or more planets in Capricorn. And so that's when we start to get, by the end of the year, right? That's when we start to think about 2026 and what do we want to bring with us into the new year? What do we want to leave behind? And what changes do we want to make? Or new things do we want to go for? Capricorn energy is the new mountain. What new mountain do we want to climb? So I really want to pull a card for you, as I always do. Beautiful Libra. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and presence. Thank you for being a part of this community by watching my videos. And if you are new and you haven't yet subscribed, please take a moment to subscribe. I'm so grateful for all of you who do subscribe. It makes a huge difference to me. And thank you for taking a moment to tap like, leave me a comment if you care to share. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. I have been shuffling, a couple more shuffles here, and Libra. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. Your card is, deep quiet, meditation, and stillness. You will benefit this month from going into meditation. Look at all the purple. This reminds me of the Pisces energy. You know, and Pisces is connected to deep stillness. Pisces is in, where we have Saturn and Neptune being squared by the Sag energy. That's your 6th house of health and well-being. Your habits. So this could be saying it's time to cultivate a habit of deep quiet and stillness if you haven't already. Or what is your favorite way of connecting with the divine? I have meditations for you on my YouTube channel. You can download a guided meditation from my website that will connect you to your higher source and help you to receive a gift from the divine. But these are your marching orders from the divine right now. Deep quiet meditation and stillness will take you far. This month, beautiful Libra, if you want to claim this or anything else in the comments below, I would love to hear. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, let's talk about your month. I think this is going to be an active December for you. I think it's going to be a turning point month. You could feel like you're at a crossroads. You could feel like you're having to make or wanting to make an important decision. And I believe that decision may affect your relationships, your role that you play in life, whether it has to do with work or a personal relationship, your identity, your purpose. These are the things that will be highlighted for you this month. The month opens with the sun in fiery, fun-loving, freedom-seeking Sagittarius. And you have Sag energy based on your rising sign. As a Virgo rising, you have Sag energy in your 4th house of home, family, childhood conditioning, roots, belonging, the mother line, ancestral healing. This is where we also attend to our own inner child. If we do that, a beautiful practice for loving that part of you and helping to feel more secure within yourself internally. However, what we're getting this month with all this, and I love Sag energy because it gets us, often it gets us out, or at least it gets us having a little party in our own living room, dancing to music, just enjoying our physical bodies, our sensuality. And if you like to be festive, if you like to celebrate, maybe it's an office party, maybe it's, so many different ways, right? Decorating, Virgo. But I love that. However, with so much energy in Sag for this month, we've got the Sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury will all transit through Sag during the month of December. Every time that happens, it will square Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. And Saturn and Neptune and Pisces are transiting your 7th house of committed partnerships. So I'm sure you felt this. We're at the very last degrees of Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. They're not coming back to the sign. We are going into a new era. Saturn and Neptune went into Aries for a brief time this year. They're going to go back into Aries. They're going to make their big, grand, probably globally shifting conjunction in February. But before they do that in December, all this Sag energy is going to feel, it could feel heavy. It could feel like a turning point. And that's one of the reasons I said, I think this is going to be a turning point month for you, because you're a mutable sign, Virgo. Pisces is mutable. Sag is mutable. So all these energies, the mutable signs, they make hard angles to each other. And there's nothing wrong with that. The mutable signs have things in common, like flexibility and being able to shapeshift and being able to, be adaptable. But because there's this tension between what's going on for you in your 4th house of home and family and Saturn and Neptune transiting your 7th house, you could be getting one last kind of experience of what's sustainable for me or not. Boundaries, especially in relationships, will probably come up for you or could come up for you. Releasing a habit, self-sacrifice especially, or self-sabotage often comes up with Pisces energy. If you felt disillusioned or disappointed, if you had a dream or a vision about a relationship and it hasn't come to fruition, maybe you've been disappointed in relationship with Saturn and Neptune moving through your 7th house. That's very possible. You could have been disappointed multiple times. Had those, as we say, the rose-colored glasses come off. I need to take a breath on that. I know that is very, very challenging. You could have gone through a grief process. I have separate videos for you on Saturn and Neptune transiting for the very last time in Pisces. So please check those out if, especially Virgo for you, since that's your 7th house and life is all about relationships, whether it's a romantic partnership or not. Life is all about all of our interactions with other people, right? I know Virgos, they love their time alone. You love your time alone. And some of you are probably like, I'm in relationship with my pet and I'm happy with that. But still, even for the people who say I'm not interested in relationship, life is still about relationships, even if they're happening in passing with coworkers, with people you're talking to in any moment, and so on. So this transit has helped you to become more discerning. It's helped you to set better boundaries, and you could feel that this month. On December 4th, we have the full moon of the month. Every month we have a full moon, and it's happening in Gemini, which also makes a square to your energy. It's in your 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose expressed, retirement or semi-retirement, how you want to spend your time. It's the most public house in our chart. And so you could be feeling some fruition here, some ending, some culmination, something manifesting in any of these areas, whether you are retired or you have a career or you have a vocation. The 10th house is where we want to feel passionate, we want to feel fulfilled and on purpose, whatever it is that we're doing. And you could feel like you're letting something go. Some of you could be retiring. Some of you could be going on sabbatical. You could be stepping into your own business. You could be saying, I'm done with that job, that job, as we say. You could be saying, I'm done with that, and I'm stepping into something that is much more of what my heart wants, my soul, something that will make my soul sing. So that would be lovely. On December 19th, and by the way, that Gemini full moon, I'll do a separate video for you on it, as I do for all the new and full moons, but on that particular full moon makes a square, and I talk about this in part 1 of the video, but because it squares the lunar nodes, you could really feel that you're at, again, that choice point, because that's what the lunar nodes do. They bring in fated and destined karmic kinds of moments, relationships, meetups that show us. Sometimes we culminate a lesson, we culminate a soul lesson with that, or they show us where it's time to decide. If I've been out of my integrity with my soul, I have to now, it's like that fork in the road. You could feel that. On December 19th, we have the new moon in Sagittarius. Again, that's in your fourth house of home, family, roots, belonging. And so it's time to set intentions for what your heart most wants around your home and family. And again, this can be how you create a place where you feel happy, how you create peace in your life. It could bring in a desire to heal something within you, to heal something with your mother or the ancestral line, or to do some inner child work. And finally, the energy will shift on December 21st when we start Capricorn season, when the sun leaves fiery Sag and it enters earthly Capricorn, which makes a beautiful trine to your energy. Capricorn energy, this last third of the month may just feel like a real relief and lovely. And I'm not saying you're going to need relief. That may not be the truth at all. But, you're going to move away from these energies that square your energy, and you're going to move into more, you could feel that you're moving into more ease and flow with Capricorn season, which makes a trine to your energy, Virgo. And that is happening in your fifth house of love, romance, kids, creative expression, fun and pleasure, inner child delight. I hope you give yourself a chance to have fun, Virgo. This is the time for that for you. Not to say that that it's not good for us to always infuse fun into our life. I am a big supporter of the play. Playing is the way, play is the way, enjoying ourselves throughout life. But, you guys work really hard. And I think I've mentioned that to you before in videos, how I'm very aware of how sincerely you serve and how much you give and all of that. But, this could be a positive shift for you this month of stepping away from giving too much with all the Neptune, Saturn, Sag planets squaring the Neptune, Saturn, and Pisces. So to the extent that you can put yourself first this month, you, I think, are going to feel really happy that you did, and you could feel a turning point in that way. Just know Capricorn season, Mars will move into Capricorn 2 and Venus as well on Christmas Eve. Just know that Capricorn season is grounding. It's very supportive, earth to your earth. So on that note, I'm going to pull a card for you. I'm shuffling, but before I do, I want to say thank you so much for your support of the channel. Thank you for taking a moment to like this video. Thank you for taking a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me. Thank you for your comments, not just to this video, but all the ways that you have supported my channel this year. If you have been around, I so appreciate you. I'm so glad that you're part of this community, and I would not be doing this without you. I truly am doing this because I love to share this with all of you, and so thank you for being a part of that. Beautiful Virgo. Now let's pull a card for you. Virgo for December. And your card is time to open up to a revelation about the unmarked trail. All of the green. I always think of your energy as green, Virgo, because of the earth element. And one small step at a time is going to take you to a place of contentment and peace and centeredness. And if you are someone who's headed on an unmarked trail, if you do have uncertainty, if you don't know, and this month could, I know that a lot of Virgos, I don't want to say the word struggle, but maybe it's an apt word for some of you, with anxiety. And so, when you have a number of planets squaring your energy, it can kind of rev that anxiety up a little bit. Not saying that will happen for you, but if you do experience that because you are on a journey and you're not sure where it's heading, because it is an unmarked trail, and that is the definition of a spiritual path, right? Know that you are supported, you are protected, you are guided, all you have to do is set an intention to receive a revelation. revelation. That is what is on offer for you this month. And you are well sheltered on your journey, beautiful Virgo. Leave me a comment if you'd care to share. I would love to hear. Leo. Hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, I think you are going to love this month. My encouragement for you is take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. That is a quote from Ms. Frizzle on the Magic School Bus. And that is what came to me when I was meditating on you for this month. Now, the month will open with the sun in fiery, fun loving, adventure seeking, expansive Sagittarius, which trines your energy. And not only will the sun be here for a good part of the month, but also Mars, the planet of action and drive, Venus, the planet of the things we love, and Mercury. After Mercury moves through through Scorpio for the first part of the month, then it will move back through Sag again. It's direct this month. It is retracing its steps, going through the degrees that it passed when it was retrograde. We call that the post-shadow retrograde period. It will do that this month, the first half of the month. And that means we're going to have all the personal planets going through Sagittarius, trining your energy. And I think you're going to love, love, love that. Now, I have one caveat for you, and that is that as these planets move through Sagittarius, they are going to take their turn. They're all going to have a turn squaring Saturn and Neptune and Pisces in your 8th house of power, control, transformation, death and rebirth, sexual and emotional intimacy, taxes, loans, but also inheritances, also shared resources, money, time, and energy with other people. The 8th house is a house of often intense emotional attachments. What does it mean that Saturn and Neptune have been transiting your 8th house in Pisces for some time now? And they've gotten very close to each other, although the conjunction that they made, the almost conjunction that they made in Aries, that was in your 9th house. So they moved on. Now they've retrograded back into your 8th house, and they will be here for a bit longer before they go back into your 9th house again in 2026. So we're finishing out this 8th house, Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, a new dream, whatever that dream, or maybe it's a dream that has already come to fruition for you. Maybe it is something that you really wanted that you realized you didn't want after a while. Maybe it is something leaving your life or has left your life, or it could be your connection with the divine. It can be, you could have gone through a healing process. You know, Pisces energy is very connected to our physical healing, our spiritual healing, our emotional healing. So it's going to be something different for everyone. But because they've been moving through your 8th house, like Neptune going through your 8th house could have been, I have this goal to, create a nest egg for myself. I have a goal to invest and to, get a return on my investment. Or Neptune through the 8th house could have been taking a relationship from, a partnership, whether business or romantic, to the next level, 8th house. Now we share our resources. So you can see there's different ways that this could play out. But Neptune, the dark side, or so, there's light and dark to all energies. Neptune's shadow side is disappointment, disillusionment, things not going the way we expected them to go. And you could have had that experience as well. Big picture, the square happening this month to Saturn and Neptune is saying to everybody, we have to let go of what is not sustainable anymore. We have to let go of self-sacrificing, self-sabotaging, not taking responsibility for situations that we've had a part in, even if that just means we projected something onto someone that hasn't been true or real. Not to beat ourselves up, not to hold grievances against ourselves, but to forgive and let the past go and move on. Because when Saturn and Neptune come back together for you in Aries in your 9th house of expansion, then the party's on, right? So that's what's going on this month with those energies. Now on December 4th, the full moon will be in Gemini in your 11th house, another beautiful place to have a transit. Why? Because the 11th house is allies, supporters, promotion and branding, online communities, If you have a platform, if you do social media, if you know, do any sort of getting your message out into the world, or you do promote something, or you do, count on people supporting you, or you have any sort of an audience, or you're just very involved in your community or communities, that is this house. Plus, it's the house of long-term financial gains. So that's where the full moon is. Something could come to fruition for you. You could have a culmination. You could have a long-term financial gain play out. You could decide to that a community or something that you've identified with, or that you put time, money, or an energy into. It's usually a group of people or friendship. This is also the house of friendships. Something could culminate, something could end, something could fade out of your life. And I know that that can be very difficult for our human self. But also, you could have, like, you could be publishing something, or you could be amping up your presence on a platform. You could be stepping into a new community. This is the World card in the tarot. So you could be thinking about, where do I want to travel? Or, it's kind of like a coming out into the world more. What are my goals for 2026 in terms of the world? Again, full moons can be something leaving and ending, or something coming to fruition and manifesting. The fullness of the moon. On December 19th, the new moon in Sag in your fifth house of love, creativity, children. Unbridled free expression, fun, comfort, pleasure, romance, if I didn't say that. I love this new moon for you. It's really lovely for you just saying, F it, I'm gonna have a party. I'm gonna have fun. Now, I don't mean to say that that's hard for everyone to do. We're all different, right? I mean, Leo, you're usually quite good at embracing fun and parties and all of that. You Leos are some of the most generous people I have ever met. I have to say, like, when I have dated a Leo before, there've been a few. I don't want to get too personal here, but when I have, across the board, it's Leo. I've just found Leos to be very generous, and I absolutely love that quality. And so anyway, your energy, of course, like I said earlier in this horoscope, your energy just really trines beautifully with Sag energy. You get each other. You and Sag people, you get each other. You do love all those things. So new moon, a great time to strike up a romance, a great time to let your creativity come alive, start a new creative project, and just have a lot more fun. Really delight your inner child, get whatever is your inner muse, whether it's creating beauty or something else, Leo. This is a good time to do it. You're planting seeds for the next cycle that will play out 6 months from now. And then finally, the energy will shift when we get to Capricorn season, the sun leaving Sag and entering Capricorn on December 21st. Very different energy. You know this, Leo. It's a very different energy. Why? Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is like, time to get to work. Now, not exactly. It is the 21st, and a lot of people celebrate the holidays around this time. You celebrate Christmas, we're getting closer to that. I know not everybody celebrates Christmas. I know there are a lot of different holidays, but there are a lot of things going on this time of year. And, we have Capricorn season the same time of year every year. But this time we're also going to have Mars in Capricorn by this point, and then on December 24th, we will have Venus entering Capricorn. So we'll have a stellium, 3 or more planets in Capricorn. And for you, this happens in your 6th house of daily work, your well-being, your health. Very inspiring for you. It could be for starting a new positive habit for your wellness, lifestyle, thinking about maybe getting a pet if that's something that's on your mind. But you could just be thinking about your work goals. Do you want to stay in your job if you have a job? Do you want your You know, it's interesting because today a couple of clients said the exact same thing to me, which I thought was so interesting. And they said they wanted to live in alignment with their own inner rhythm. And you don't hear those words a lot. And I heard it from more than one person in client readings today. So I thought that was so interesting. And that's really the sixth house is living. I led a workshop once that I called Living Radiantly by Your Own Inner Rhythm. Coming alive again, living radiantly by your own inner rhythm. And you could feel that this year. You could feel like, I want to live in alignment with my own inner rhythm. And I want to, you know, it's the house of optimal health. It's the house of positive relationships with colleagues or coworkers or people you collaborate with, and having the lifestyle that you want. So that could be on your mind the last third of this month. Leave me a comment if you want to, Leo, and let me know what you want for this Capricorn season in your sixth house, of these areas of kind of fine-tuning your life, taking your daily life to the next higher octave, if that's something that you want. So I'm going to pull a card for you. But before I do, I want to say thank you so much for your support of the channel. Thank you so much for your support of my work, for taking a moment to like this video. It really does matter. And when you leave me a comment, that really helps as well. And plus, I love hearing from you. If you haven't yet subscribed, if you could take a moment to subscribe, it makes a huge difference to me on so many levels. So thank you so much. And now let us see what the universe, your angels, your guides want to tell you through the cards. Beautiful Leo. And Leo, if you're new, if you've been watching, you probably already know this because I've shared it more times. But if you haven't, did you know that both of my parents were Leos? And what I love about your energy is your exuberance. I love your enthusiasm. I love your sparkle. And I love that you teach all of us to really take care of that inner child and to be proud of ourselves when we do something that was hard, when we, you know, your card being the strength card in the tarot, when we overcome obstacles, when we rise to the occasion. That's you, Leo. And I love that about you. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. The authentic self. The authentic self. Wow. It says many masks. This card is really encouraging you to step more into your authenticity if this resonates for you. What I love about this card is all of the white glowing energy. It's so ethereal. It's telling me that your higher self is coming through with all this light energy and infusing a new soul essence. The new soul essence is coming online for you in your own energetic space, so to speak. I know these are very abstract words, but some of you are dropping. You're feeling more and more comfortable in your own skin. You're feeling more and more authentic. You are determined, some of you. You resolve, some of you, to drop. And you know, there's so much negativity associated with that word mask, but sometimes it's just discomfort, like in social situations, or, you know, not being our full, honest selves. Not because we're walking around saying, I'm going to wear a mask. It's automatic for a lot of us. We had that conditioning. We did everything we could to protect ourselves as children, and we needed to do that. But because you have come so far, Leo, and a lot of you have had Pluto opposing your energy, and that's very, those transits can be very difficult. Pluto and Aquarius opposing your energy, whether it's a rising sign, a sun sign, moon sign, or any planets that you would have in Leo. Of course, Pluto's still in the early degrees. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I do that in personal readings, of course. But what I'm trying to say is that you could have already gone through a transformation from Pluto. And when that happens, we automatically drop a mask. We automatically become more comfortable in our own skin. And for those of you who've had a difficult Pluto transit or could be having one, just know that I have a video called Hard Pluto Transits that has been really helpful to people going through a hard Pluto transit. But for all of you, your authentic self is calling you that much more. It is calling you. And if you want to claim your authenticity in the comments below, beautiful Leo, I would love to hear. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, I have my moon and rising in Cancer. Let's talk about your month of December. I believe for Cancers that this month will be a month of self-care and rejuvenation, revitalizing yourself, rest and retreat. Some of you might go through a sense of growth and expansion. This month will culminate with a connection and or a focus on your most important relationships, your committed relationships. So let's break it down. The month begins with the sun in fiery, fun-loving, freedom-seeking, adventurous Sagittarius. This for you, Cancer, is transiting the sun, but also Mars, Mercury, and Venus will all transit at different points during this month in your sixth house as well. So what does this mean? The sixth house is your health. It's your optimal health, well-being, physical, mental, emotional, your daily life, your routines, your relationships with coworkers, your work environment, your lifestyle. Pets fall into the sixth house as well. So some of you, I believe, with so many energies going through your sixth house, you could be very busy because, again, since this is routines, whatever you do on a regular basis, you could just feel like there's a lot going on. There's a party of planets in Sagittarius in your sixth house. It's active. You could feel quite active. You could be, sticking to your exercise plan. You could be focusing on your health. You could be focusing on your nutrition or cooking. You could really enjoy cooking this month. If you like to do that. I know not everyone does that. But here's the thing. All this energy in Sag in your daily life, you could be going to parties, you could be, working on releasing a habit, you could be healing something. Some of you could be getting treated for something or even having a surgery this month. It's very suited to healing, this month. But here's the thing. These planets that are all going to go through Sagittarius, they're also going to each take their turn and square Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And where Saturn and Neptune in Pisces right now, that they've retrograded back into Pisces, in your ninth house of expansion. So what does this bring up? This brings up looking back at the past when Saturn and Neptune were transiting here for quite some time, especially Neptune for many, many years. Saturn, since 2023, Saturn went into Pisces. It could bring up past situations or a situation that is leaving your life, has left your life, something you've been resolving, something you've been trying to change. Maybe you've been trying to fine tune this area of your life. And what would that be? That would be teaching, learning. Any of you who do any kind of speaking or leading groups, or if you've done long distance travel, if you've lived in another country, if you've been working on learning something about other cultures or learning a language, you've been doing a learning program. If you've been doing a degree program or a certification program, maybe some of you have been getting certified in something, or you've just been doing a lot of spiritual seeking. Very possible you've really put time, money, and energy into your growth. This square to Saturn and Neptune is kind of like a choice point. It's a turning point for a lot of us. It's asking us, and it does trine your energy. Pisces energy trines your energy. So that's really lovely. It's a lovely trine. And yet we still want to keep in mind that there is discomfort or tension or pressure between the Sag planets and the Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So what I really want to impress upon Cancers is that you could be tasked by your higher self, the universe, your own intuitive guidance, to step more into your own co-creator kind of energy. The idea that your word is your wand. I can't remember who said that. I know it's the title of a book. Some of you will probably know that, and you can put it in the comments below if you want. But I like to give credit where credit is due, but we also use it as an expression now. And it's the idea that we create our own reality, which is incredibly powerful, right? Not to say that everything that happens in our life, that this bad stuff, we're responsible for. I don't think we should put that on ourselves. You know, life can be quite complex. But I think that cancers are getting an opportunity with these squares to really learn even more about their magic, to learn about your own magic, your own ability to create the magician card in the tarot. And this may have you then sharing more of that magic with others, sharing your enthusiasm through something like a social media platform, through a broadcast, teaching, sharing your enthusiasm through podcasting, publishing something. That could be coming up for you too. Or maybe you've done that before and you're putting it to rest. You're letting it fade away. That's also part of Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac. We're leaving something behind, some of us, but for a lot of us, that's a habit that hasn't been good for us. That's self-sabotage. That's overgiving, self-sacrificing. You know, many of us with Saturn having transited, finished, having gone through, and Neptune for many years and Saturn for what will ultimately be almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. We've really honed our boundaries. We've gotten much better at setting boundaries. We've gotten more discerning. We have taken off the rose-colored glasses. We've stopped projecting onto people. We've realized the truth of things. We've come very down to earth, right? Right, Cancer? It's not easy. It hasn't been easy. It's so easy to just project a fantasy onto somebody or onto something, onto a path, onto a project, onto, those expectations. Cancers can have, and I can say this as a Cancer moon, Cancer rising, we can have expectations. Nothing wrong with that. But these transits in Pisces have shown us where sometimes our expectations are just not fulfilling us or they're disappointing us. So that's going to be part of the experience of this month for a lot of people, especially if you have planets or points being in the third decan, which is like 20, in the high 20 degrees in your chart, that are being activated by these transits. Now, moving on, Cancer, the full moons are always a big deal. And remember, because you're ruled by the moon, the new moon and the full moon always really affect you. Obviously some more so than others, depending on how the planets or points in your own natal chart are being activated by each lunation. But on December 4th, we have the Gemini full moon, and that's in your 12th house. So you've got Gemini energy in your house of rest, retreat, the subconscious mind, reprogramming the subconscious mind, which takes me back to realizing that our word is our wand, the things that we're saying, the things that we're imagining, that we are co-creating while we're doing that. And I work on this myself too, believe me. If you are stepping into something, you have something in front of you that feels challenging at all, that could be a great thing to practice with, seeing it as a success before it actually happens. Creating, mapping out your success in advance. Also, with the Gemini full moon in your 12th house, you could have an outer body experience. You could have an intense dream that brings you a message. You could deepen your connection to the divine. It's an ending, culmination, manifestation moment. Something coming full circle. You could be stepping into a role as a spiritual healer. You could be doing mediumship work or channeling, improving your ability to channel. Karmic bonds can come up with this full moon across from your house of health, well-being, daily work, daily life, and lifestyle. So both are being activated during this full moon. And then on December 19th, we'll have the new moon in Sagittarius, and that activates it's an opportunity to set intentions for the things that we talked about right out of the gate, which was which is Sag energy, 6th house, what you want your daily rhythm to feel like. And how does that play out in your actual habits, your actual work? If you work, not everybody works. Your work can be retirement. Your work could be taking a sabbatical. You could be, Your work could be, your quote unquote work could be enjoying your life, taking good care of your body, mind, and spirit. That's the sixth house. What do you want for your sixth house energy? Your lifestyle or your pets? That's all part of where we're seeding intentions around this new moon. And then the energy will shift palpably when the sun leaves fiery Sag, which is where's the party, is reminding me, Cancer. I don't know if you ever had this experience, but it's reminding me when I was in high school. I grew up in the Irvine, Laguna Beach, California area, and Newport Beach was and I know there've been so many TV shows and everything on these places now. I grew up that area in the 60s when none of the, California there wasn't all these television programs about it. But anyway, we used to drive on the weekends every now and then as high schoolers, once we could drive. We would drive down to Newport Beach and we would drive around and ask people, hey, where's the party? And I wasn't a big party girl, but I mean, it was fun to do once in a while. And so it reminded me of that, just mentioning it. But anyway, Capricorn season is a very different energy. It begins on December 21st, and that's when we start thinking about goals. We start thinking about what's the next mountain we want to climb. And in Cancer, you're cardinal too, just like Capricorn. Capricorn is opposite from you. It's your seventh house of committed relationships. You Cancers have their own ambitious side. You're a self-starter. You like to start things. You like to have projects. You like to have goals. Different for everyone what those focus on, but Capricorn season for you happens in your seventh house of committed relationships, business, personal, best friendships, the relationships where you have someone's back, they have your back. And we're going to have Mars move into Capricorn on the 14th. Venus will move into Capricorn. I go through all the dates of these important transits in the first part of this video. But we'll have a stellium, 3 or more planets in Capricorn the last third of the month. And so you could really find that you're having more important conversations, that you're working things out with other people. If you are in a committed partnership, there's more activity there for you, perhaps. Family stuff can come up around this time of year anyway. So that's your month, Cancer. What do you think? Leave me a comment. Let me know in the comments below any thoughts that you're having about this month. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for taking a moment to like this video right now, if you would, and for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, tapping subscribe. If you have already, thank you so much for being a loyal subscriber. It really helps me. I'm trying to get to this, may be too ambitious a goal, but I'm setting it for myself. I would love to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And I won't be able to do that without you, beautiful Cancer. And you guys are you're my Cancer family, being Cancer rising, Cancer moon. So just thank you I'm sure you get it. I'm sure you get it all because, we Cancers get each other. So beautiful Cancer, let us pull a card for you and see what the cards have to say for your month of December. We're preparing for 2026 this month really deeply. And I also want to say that Pisces energy, where the Neptune and Saturn transit is happening in Pisces for the very last time, that is really nice energy for you. And Jupiter's still in your sign. So there's some really nice simpatico energy to your energy this month. Cancer, let's see what your card is. December. Movement toward adventure. This is a water card. I'll show you. Spirit of the river. There's a spirit to letting life take us into the flow, right? It's like floating down a river, going in the direction of the river rather than swimming upstream. This card it's number 50. So 5 represents change and transformation. 0 amplifies that. 0 is spirit, God's number, amplifying this. You are in a period of change, many of you, in transition, a lot of you, I'm guessing. and you are moving toward adventure. What adventure are you ready to take, Cancer? It's a big year for you, 2026. Saturn and Neptune will be in Aries for good, and they will square your energy, and that's action. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They square my energy too. They square all cardinal energy in your chart, your natal chart. But they are activating you. That's what squares do. You're moving toward adventure. If you want to leave me a comment about your adventure, about your dream, a goal, or a vision, let us know. You will inspire all of us. Gemini. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini, gems. I have my natal sun in Gemini. This is going to be an important month for Geminis. Why do I say this? First of all, your full moon is happening this month. Something is culminating for you, something's wrapping up, something's completing or manifesting for you. It could feel like a graduation moment. Not only this, because it's Sagittarius season for the first few weeks of the month, you could feel that in Sag is a mutable sign just like you, but Sag and Gemini are opposite each other. This is also more activating for you. And I'm going to tell you more as we talk about it. I think this is going to be an energizing month for you. As a Gemini sun, I love Sag energy. I hope you do too. The fire to our air, even though it's an opposition. And you know, what we say about oppositions is, well, we feel them in our relationships. Sometimes in our relationships, we feel someone's opposing us, but other times we just feel like there are people across the way that are supporting us too. So oppositions do not have to be hard. But Gemini, let's get into it here for you. So the month opens with the sun in fiery Sag, freedom seeking. You know, it's your seventh house of partnerships, not just romantic, also business, also best friendships, people that have your back, you have their back. But not only do we have the sun here, we have Mars, Venus, and Mercury throughout the month at different times in Sag as well. So there's a party in Sag. Are you ready to party, Gemini? There's a party in Sag happening. But this is the want part, because there is that. All these personal planets are going to take their turns squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces is also a mutable sign, and it also squares. Well, Sag opposes our energy, Pisces squares our energy. So what does this mean? It means that all this whole party of planets in Sag that wants to expand and have fun and, you know, enjoy one another, there's tension and pressure between those energies and Saturn and Neptune, which represent a dream or represents a dream fading away, something dying, something ending, or, you know, where we've been working hard on something over the past number of years. There's a tension there. And where Saturn and Neptune and Pisces are transiting for you and have been for quite a long time, for Pisces, it's been a whole era. It's been, you know, almost 15 years since 2011 in your 10th house of career. So this has been a huge chapter for you, Gemini, a huge career chapter. Now, some of you are saying, I don't have a career. It could be life purpose expressed. It can be retirement. It can be whatever you've done, what you would say you've done, how you spent your time, where you've been in, you know, the most public aspect of your life. It is career for some people. It is legacy. It is what you've wanted to contribute. It could have been volunteer work. It could have been, if you haven't had to work, who and whatever you've done in that time. A lot of people, they want meaning here. They want to feel fulfilled. They do see it as a place of life purpose or vocation. So what does this mean, these squares of Saturn and Neptune for the very last time in Pisces, going through your 10th house, affecting your 7th house of partnerships? It's saying what stays and what goes. It's asking you that question. What's sustainable for me? What's not? Maybe the way you've been working, Gemini, hasn't been good for you in some way. Maybe there's something, a habit or a way of operating in your work life or in your career or in your retirement life, if you have that, that isn't sustainable anymore. Sustainable is a key word here. What do I want to keep doing? What's not working? What do I need to release and let go of? For example, draining habits, self-sacrifice, self-sabotaging behaviors. For Geminis, sometimes the self-sabotage is, I stay up too late. I don't have the best, and I'm not saying me, I'm saying Geminis. Like you could be thinking this. You could be thinking, oh, I could take better care of my body, or, I could focus more. Geminis can have trouble focusing, or I've had trouble making decisions. Or, here's the truth about Geminis. You are so multi-talented. You have so many different things you could do. Sometimes Geminis just have trouble choosing something or sticking with something because there's always something new to learn. And Geminis are here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to expand. We are lifelong learners. So there's nothing wrong with you, Gemini. If anyone has ever asked you, why can't you just stick with one thing? Why are you always trying all these different things? If anyone has ever put a negative spin on that for you, I really want to validate for you that Geminis are the collage artists. They're meant to do a lot of different things. Some of us try a lot of different things so that we can really build our skills and talents. And then we often put it all together and make it into our own thing. And that's certainly what I've done in my work. And I didn't always know when I was trying something new that that's what I was going to end up doing, sort of folding that in. We have a toolbox, Geminis, and we bring a lot of different things. Or we, like I said, collage artists. It's a metaphor, or perhaps for some of you, it's a real thing. So we've got your full moon on December 4th, pretty much out of the gate, beginning of the month, December 4th. We've got a full moon in your sign in the first house of you. It's your I'm coming out. It's your identity, your role, vitality. Now, some of you are letting go of a role. You're letting go of an identity. That is very full moon. Very full moon is I'm releasing this. It's over for me. You could be stepping away from something, whether in a relationship or in a job or in a profession, or just a way of being. Or you could be taking something to the next level. You could be visioning another way of life for yourself. You could be envisioning a new identity. You could be stepping into a new relationship. You could be stepping out of a partnership or multiple partnerships. You get the idea. It's going to be a really important full moon because of the square to the lunar nodes that I mentioned in the first part of this video, and I'll go more into that in a separate video, which I always love to do for you on the new and full moons. But that's a karmic fated transit that's going on during the full moon. And for some of you, it's time, and that's karma and fate. It's time to wrap something up, or to meet somebody new, or to start something new. Very exciting in that way. And it can bring anxiety sometimes because it's like, okay, what is the new? Sometimes we don't know what the new is till we step out of something, right? December 19th, we have the new moon in Sag across from you in your 7th house of committed partnerships, committed relationships. This is a new cycle beginning for you, Gemini, that will come to full culmination 6 months from now. You're manifesting, some of you, a new relationship. You might be deepening a partnership. Your relationship could be changing in some way. This is the new moon to plant seeds for what you want to experience in your relationship life. The energy will shift when the sun leaves fiery Sag, go-getting, have fun, let's have that party Sag, the festivities of the holidays. It will shift when the sun enters Capricorn, which is like, get to work. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. What are my responsibilities? What's on my plate? And sometimes your responsibilities, I mean, this is going to sound funny, maybe not to a Gemini, but it can be like, oh my gosh, I have 5 party invitations. What am I going to do? But seriously, Capricorn season asks us to look at our goals, and sometimes we're saying, I don't want to have this goal anymore. I want to have this, there's a new mountain to climb, metaphorically speaking, or actually, literally. The sun entering Capricorn, it's not just going to be the sun. We'll also have the last third of the month, Mars starting on the 14th in Capricorn, and Venus starting on the 24th. So it's a very practical energy, Capricorn energy. And for you, it's your 8th house, of shared resources, assets. It's like the home that we own, investments, nest eggs, the things that we look to for long-term security. Also, though, it's a house of power and control. It's a house of emotional attachments, debts, taxes, emotional and sexual intimacy. That's where Capricorn energy is for you, Gemini. And that means that with Capricorn here, it means that you take this stuff seriously. It's a Saturn ruled sign. You take it seriously, your long-term security and, deepening relationships with others. That's something that's important to you, at least a lot of you. That's what having Capricorn here says. So don't be surprised if you feel a little bit more serious or a little bit more intentional as we get to the last third of this month. And you could be really thinking about investments if you have investments, or who knows what the stock market will be doing. I mean, November was the most tumultuous stock market month. Even just, I'm recording this video on November 20th, right after the full culmination of the Scorpio new moon. And we knew that was going to be a wild card new moon because of Uranus opposing it and opposing Mercury. But I thought it was so wild how the stock market went way up. If you follow this, Nvidia announced its earnings and they did really well, and the stock market went way up last night, and then today the other direction. So very, very Uranus kind of new moon. But we'll see what happens in December. So, Gemini, let us see what the cards have to say for you. And before I pull a card, thank you so much for your presence here, your time and energy watching this video. Thank you for liking this video, taking a moment to tap like, taking a moment to comment if you'd like to comment, to subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. It really helps me, makes a huge difference. And now let us see what message you get from the divine for your month of December 2025, the last month as we move into what is going to be quite I think for a lot of us, life-changing year. Your card is Root Girl. This is one of my favorite cards. Root Girl, the disowned self. This is about taking that inner child in our imagination, taking her or him into our arms and saying, I've got you. Root Girl is the part of our shadow that we have disowned or pushed down or repressed. And often, what does that mean? That's a very impoverished self. I think of it as, I have so much compassion for my own inner Root Girl, because I think, oh my goodness, this little sweet girl part of me that thinks she's on her own, that thinks she has nobody, that thinks she has to get by on nothing, that is literally living, metaphorically speaking, underground at the root of a tree. And so what I do with my Root Girl is I go into my imagination, I imagine that I'm going to meet her at the roots of the tree. Often it's scarcity consciousness. It's this fear of not having enough, this fear of not having enough money, this fear of not being able to support yourself materially. That could be that, or it could be the part of us that we don't want other people to see, or it can be our most wild, adventurous, juicy, sensual self that the wild woman or the wild man self that we keep at bay. The shadow can be the light or the dark, but it's the root chakra. It's the root chakra. So it often has to do with our first experience of having our emotional needs met or not met. So what I was saying is, I like to imagine my Root Girl taking her in my arms, and she's dirty because she's lived under, she's lived in the dirt. She's lived in the roots. She's lived underground. So I take her and I ask her if she wants a bath, and I bathe her, and I ask her what beautiful piece of clothing she wants to put on, and I give her a warm meal, and I hold her, and I make her feel like she's part of me and she's part of life and she's got all of her needs met. So if any of that resonates for you, that's my encouragement to you, beautiful Gemini. And if you want to leave me a comment, I would love to hear. Happy month of December. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus, this month of December, I believe you're going to have quite a focus on your finances. I think you're going to be focused on your long-term kind of savings or investments or emotional and physical intimacy, the house of emotional attachments. And I'm going to get to that in a second. I think you're going to be very focused there, and also on your sense of, earned income and money coming in and all of that stuff. But then the energy is going to shift to more expansive Capricorn energy when we get to Capricorn season. So let's break it down. The month begins with the sun in fiery, fun-loving, freedom-seeking, adventurous Sagittarius, that fire energy. Who doesn't love a good party, Taurus? Do you love a good party? Leave me a comment, let me know. The thing is, for you, all of these planets, and so all these planets meaning it'll be the sun, it'll be Mars, it'll be Venus and Mercury, all at different times of the month. And Mercury will be direct in Sag, transiting through your 8th house. So that is that focus on your long-term assets. You could be figuring out your taxes for sure. You could be looking at, big purchases or paying off a debt. You could be looking at, really going deep with somebody, with a partner, deep into getting to know each other better, deepening your relationship, having conversations about shared resources, time, money, energy with another person or people. You could be making a business deal or multiple business deals. It's a very charged house, the 8th house, but it's Sagittarius energy. So there's a lot of potential joy in that, a lot of potential, just very sweet, deep conversations, lovemaking, whatever it is that you really want to deepen for yourself. You could be thinking about, the savings, the nest egg, those kinds of things as well. But we want to keep this in mind, and that is that all those energies in Sag this month are going to square Saturn and Neptune doing their very last pass in Pisces in your 11th house. Now, your 11th house is friendships and community and your online presence, meetups, your supporters, your allies. You could have had some changes here. Why? Because Neptune is the dream, the vision, the ideal, and Saturn with Neptune. Of course, Saturn and Neptune were very close together in Aries, but even both of them having gone through your 11th house means that you've had to set boundaries. You've had to cut out what hasn't been in alignment with you. You've had to be more discerning, some of you, and that Neptunian goal, if it didn't meet the ideal, which in this earthly reality often are, what actually happens is very different from the vision oftentimes when it comes down to it, right? That could have brought disappointment. And this is also the house of branding and promotion and getting your message out. And so if you're self-employed, if you are anyone who works with community, if you use social media for your work, all those things could have been involved. You could have left a friendship or started new friendships, or just, communities could have changed for you a lot. And really what this transit in December is asking us to do is get fiercely honest with ourselves about what's sustainable, what isn't, what's working, what isn't. Let the what's not to go, let it go. Releasing habits that are not supportive, self-sacrifice, where we overgive, where we do too much, we don't get back what we give, all those things, Taurus. Have better boundaries, be more discerning. Those are all part of this. And sometimes it's making small changes, especially in the mutable signs, making small changes so that you are not working harder necessarily, because you Taurus people, you guys work really hard. You are very, you show up every day. You put one foot in front of the other. You work long hours, a lot of you. You are steadfast. You are steadfast. You don't give up easily. That's the good side of stubborn, right? But sometimes it's hard for you to make a change because unless it's really not working for you, you're not going to want to make that change. But these squares to Saturn and Neptune are kind of forcing change where we need to make change. They're forcing us to at least make small changes, to tweak things, to work smarter, not harder On December 4th, that's when we have the full moon for the month, and it's going to be in Gemini, which is going to be in your second house of earned income, self-worth, deserving, material security, and your possessions. The second house is the Taurus house, of course, and the big zodiac. And the Gemini full moon here is saying, what is ending for you? What's culminating? Are something shifting with your income? For example, you could be letting one income go and taking on a new income, taking on a new way of generating money for yourself. You could be realizing, because full moons bring realizations, you could be realizing that you haven't held yourself in the highest esteem that you could, and you could be wanting to up level that. I'll do a separate video for you on this full moon where we'll do a deeper dive for sure. But because the full moon is on an axis of the second and the eighth house, that brings back into play the things we talked about earlier, the Sag energy, shared resources, long-term assets, anything that you own that is like a home that you own. It's the bigger stuff in the eighth house. Or you could be like paying off a debt, paying a tax bill during this time, or letting go of a job. You could be letting go of a job. You could be saying, I don't want to work here anymore. I you'd be asking for a promotion. It can be a graduation moment, a manifestation, or a releasing and ending. On December 19th, we'll have the new moon in Sag in that eighth house of deep emotional intimacy, the eighth house of shared resources, all the things I've talked about multiple times already in your horoscope. But this is where you're seeding intentions. And maybe you're going to seed an intention in the eighth house. You're going to say, okay, I want the universe to bring in the return on my investments. I'm ready to, if you're in a partnership, I'm ready to take it to the next level. Whatever that is, whether it's business, it could be next level, could be, you're expanding your business, or it could be you are working out different responsibilities, you're renegotiating with a business partner, or you've been in partnership with somebody and now you want to move in together. Now you want to maybe pool some money or buy a home together. Something like that could be happening too for you. And then we've got the big energy shift, which I think you're going to like, Taurus. Why? Because your Earth, and Capricorn is Earth. So when the sun moves into Capricorn, it's just real lovely ease and flow for you. And that's December 21st. Not only will we have the sun in Capricorn, we'll have Mars in Capricorn by the 14th of the month, and Venus enters Capricorn by the 24th. And all of this happens for you in your ninth house of expansion, the house of freedom, liberation, adventure, long distance travel, learning new things. There's like a wind in your sails in Capricorn energy for you, because it is seen from a higher perspective, moments of transcendence. And I believe that you may, this Capricorn season, decide to even more take on the role of yourself as a co-creator. In other words, even more realize that your word is your wand, even more realize that you are co-creating your reality. And, that's something that can take time for us to not just learn and understand in the intellect, but then actually put it into worldly action, right? In practical ways. But you can do that, Taurus, and you are a great manifester. You are. That's that's a superpower that you have. But I feel it's going to be really lit up for you. And as we prepare in December for 2026, it becomes that much more important, because 2026 is going to be I believe we've had a lot of change in 2025. Yes, we have. I believe it's going to be even more so. Even more so. We've got that epic Saturn-Neptune conjunction. They will be exact together. And that's when we see major world change happening that we look back on and say, that's when we saw this change. And that happens when we have outer planets coming together, making an exact conjunction at 0 degrees. So it's not always 0 degrees. It can be other degree points, but that's when and I will do a video on sort of the bigger picture changes that are happening in 2026 as I find time to do that. But because it's not just the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's part of this change. But Let's see what the cards have to say for you, Taurus. And before I pull a card, thank you so much for being part of this community by subscribing to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, will you take a moment right now to do so? It really helps me, and to tap like on this video and to comment if you would care to comment. I love hearing from you. And on that note and on that breath, let's see what the cards have to say for you, Taurus, for the last month of 2025. Ooh, I just got the chills. I just got the chills, Taurus. How will you celebrate, Taurus? How will you celebrate the closing out of 2025? If you want to share that in a comment, that'd be fun to hear. Now, you got moving out of stagnation. I know I'm being weird now. These are long videos. At a certain point, I've got to get a little silly, or I just can't sustain the level of keeping my energy up, even though I love what I do. But you got the dust devil, and this is big. Taurus, this reminds me of Uranus being back in your sign. Have you felt it? Did you feel that during the Scorpio new moon? I'm in the Scorpio new moon energy when I'm recording this for you. We just had it yesterday, but we're feeling it today. The stock market went way up and then it went way down today. So Uranus opposing the new moon, and here we've got the dust devil, which reminds me of like that Uranus kind of a tornado energy. Trying to make a tornado with my hand here. And you are moving out of stagnation. The dust devil kicks up the dust when there's stuff for us to clear. But what happens when we start to clear stuff that is meant to be taken away? We are free. We are liberated. If you want to claim your liberation or your freedom, moving out of stagnation or anything else, Taurus, in the comments below. I would love to hear. You will inspire all of us. Aries. Hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, I think the month of December is going to be a month for you of expansion, growth and learning, and freedom and liberation. This could be a month that you really feel like you are, flying above your life and seeing from a whole new perspective, revelations, epiphanies, aha moments. So let's break it down for you. Remember, December is, of course, you remember this, it's the last month of 2025, but it is preparing us for 2026 when Saturn and Neptune move into your sign, Aries, for good to stay. Of course, Saturn will move through your sign much more quickly than Neptune will, but Neptune is an epic era transit, and this is really important for you. So we're preparing this month. So what happens at the beginning of the month? The sun is already in Sagittarius, and then we're going to have Mars, Venus, and Mercury all transit through Sag energy. All of these transiting through your ninth house of expansion. So you are being prepared by being expanded. This includes long distance travel, higher learning, meaning a degree program, a certification program, or just your own learning, however you do that, watching YouTube videos and so forth. New adventures. You could be traveling in another country. You could be learning a new language. You could be really into watching or reading about, faraway places. You could be really seeking, on a seeking path. What does that mean? I probably don't need to define that. Like whatever is, it's astrology, the ninth house too. Like whatever is really piquing your interest, whatever is, you could seeking, of course, we can get into past life stuff. We can get into so many different things, but the ninth house is connected to our belief system. So like learning about ourselves as co-creators, learning about how our thoughts create our reality, things like that, I think will be really important for you to be paying attention to, and maybe to have a conscious practice of getting into the vortex and visioning and feeling what you desire, feeling it as real so that you can see it play out in reality. Now, here's the thing. We're getting a very last pass of Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, where they've been for some time now. Saturn for several years, Neptune for a whole era. Neptune is like a 15-year transit. They're going through for the very last time your 12th house of rest and retreat, the mystic, your subconscious mind, reprogramming the subconscious mind. That brings back the thinking again, the idea that we create our own reality with our thoughts. But also, Saturn and Neptune transiting your 12th house, that's been intense for you, I would imagine, Aries. That's the other realms. Neptune, your vision, your dream. I feel like a lot of you could have deepened your relationship with the divine. But not only that, Saturn says we've got to clear out that stuff that like past life pain or childhood stuff, subconscious mind. The subconscious mind can be a really bad neighborhood. It can be wonderful. It can be lovely. There's so many different, it's often a mixed bag, right? It's a mixed bag. But this is a transit, these squares of all the Sag energy in December moving through your ninth house of expansion, which is lovely and bright and beautiful and says cut ties to things that don't serve you. That's squaring up with tension, pressure with these 12th house energies, Saturn and Neptune transiting your 12th house. And they're asking you ultimately, especially the 12th house, what's sustainable for you? Let's let go of anything that was self-sabotaging, that's been self-sacrificing, anything that you've outgrown, any dream or vision that is over for you, any job or, often in 12th house energy, we can hide, we can not have the confidence that we want and not say yes to things or not take things to fruition. We start, this is an Aries thing, and I have Mars in Aries, so it's something that I've experienced multiple times as well, where we can get this great inspiration, right, Aries? We are really good at getting inspired and we get this amazing inspiration, but then it fizzles out quickly because once we see the reality of what it's going to take and all of that, sometimes then we go, okay, I don't really want that actually. So leave me a comment, Aries. Let me know if you relate. But this is not all Aries energies. I mean, Aries are warriors. They're right out there on the front lines. Aries are the pioneers. And you can be incredibly focused and see something through, power through something, go through the hard stuff, move through adversity, rise to the challenge, all of that. Believe me, Aries, you guys are, you do things a lot of the time just because it's a challenge and you want to see if you can meet that challenge or not. So there's light and dark to every energy. But with Saturn and Neptune making their very last pass through your 12th house, being squared by the Sag energies, you could really notice that you are setting some final boundaries, being more discerning, and really realizing that something has to go, has to change, something is not working. And this will be really good for us ultimately, but it could just put a little bit of a wah-wah into the party energy of Sag. Or you could feel like you want to stay home more than you normally would. Like during December is often a holiday month and get-togethers and parties and things. And because the Sag energy is talking to your 12th house energy, that 12th house pulls us in more. It makes us more reflective. On December 4th, we have the Gemini full moon in Aries. This is really lovely for your energy. And so is the Sag energy, by the way. It's fire to your fire, Sages. Gemini is air to your fire. So there's a lot of very lovely reciprocal simpatico energy for you this month. But the Gemini full moon is the fruition, culmination, ending, or manifestation happening in your third house, which brings up themes of moving. I call it the house of moving and shaking. It's where we're very active. So a full moon around the beginning of the month can have you out and about, meeting up with people, making things happen, moving and shaking. Also, anything to do with siblings, extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. If you're a freelancer, if you have your own business, if you work with, like you have a store on your website, for example, all transactions are Gemini kinds of things. Also short trips that you take, day trips, long weekends, working with devices. You might be getting a new device. You might make sure make sure you back up your devices and keep them charged, just because a full moon can be when something goes kaput. I'm not saying it will, but that can happen. And so you want to make sure that you are, these days, right? We're so reliant on our devices. And you know, just a cord can go. Like I had a cord go out on me today, right before I was doing about to do a client session. I was like, oh my gosh, my computer, why is the battery almost dead? Because that cord had gone out. So fortunately I had another cord, I plugged it in and I was good. But you know, those kinds of things can happen. So Aries, that's the full moon, and it could give you a lot of energy for being adventurous in your local area, taking some sort of a trip or a long weekend and just have fun. Have fun, Aries. Have fun for this full moon, this Gemini full moon. That's the beginning of the month. On the 19th, we've got the new moon in Sag. It happens literally just 2 days before we go into Capricorn season, but we have a whole string of 28-degree new moons that are at the end of that sign. It's really interesting. We're closing out an era, so it's not surprising. But the new moon is where you're planting seeds of intention in your ninth house of expansion. So long distance travel, again, learning. Is there something you want to learn? Is there something that do you want to travel more? Do you want to share your enthusiasm, or do you want, I see somebody standing on a stage now. Do you want to teach something? Do you want to do videos or have a podcast or publish something? Those are the kinds of things. Or do you want to go on a seeking path? Do you want to take a spiritual retreat, yoga retreat? Those are all ninth house kinds of things. Some of you could be thinking about doing like a long travel around the world, or buying a boat and sailing around the world. I have a close friend who did that, or, living in another country. The energy will shift palpably December 21st when the sun leaves fiery Sagittarius and goes into Capricorn. And now it's like time to get to work. That's Capricorn. That's Capricorn energy. We all know it. We all know it well, especially the cardinal signs know it well. You're a cardinal sign Aries, and Capricorn squares your energy. And so, you feel that, but squares are what get us motivated. They have us taking action. They have us making movement in our life. And we all love movement. Aries, you of all people, you're very passionate. You love movement. You love moving to the next thing, having adventures. That's you, Aries. Freedom, right? So where is this happening for you? Capricorn season, the sun entering Capricorn, and then Mars mid-month moving into Capricorn, and then Venus moving into Capricorn on the 24th, Christmas Eve, for those of you who celebrate. Very practical, potentially very practical feeling kind of Christmas holiday with so much energy. And we always have Capricorn season around the Christmas holidays, but we don't always have, a number of personal planets there too, like we do this year. But anyway, it's in your 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose expressed, retirement, semi-retirement, how you spend your time, what's important to you, whether you feel fulfilled in your work or not. Some of you could be at a turning point this Capricorn season. You could be really looking at your career. You could be wanting to make a career change. You could be wanting to shift from a job to your own business, or just feeling like my work is more of a vocation than it is a way that I earn a paycheck. That shift could be happening for you, or you could be going from a focus on earning a living, so to speak, or working for a living, to like taking a sabbatical or moving into retirement, or just saying, from now on, I'm only going to do I only want to make money doing something that brings me joy. You could feel that shift too, because we're going into this new era. And Capricorn, you're one of the cardinal signs. You are really going to feel, especially if you have planets or points in the very early degrees, you're really going to feel this Saturn Neptune conjunction back in Aries in February. It squares your energy, and we feel those. The cardinal signs will feel those intensely, especially again if you have planets or points in the very early degrees of your sign. So I'm going to pull a card for you. Before I do that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tapping like on this video if you would take a moment to do that. Commenting, I love your comments. Subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. It really, really helps me. It makes a huge difference. Thank you for your support. Aries, let's see what the cards have for you for your month of December. Aries. Ooh, this is a good card. This is a really mystical card. You've got that new moon in the ninth house. You've got so many planets in the ninth house at the beginning of the month. And then you've got, as I was saying, that Saturn Neptune transit through your 12th house. And this to me is very 12th house. It's called repairing the veil, forgiveness, the veil between the worlds. There is a veil of energy. We could call it karma. We could call it past life stuff. We could call it childhood. We could call the difference between your ethereal self, your soul, the part of you that is not confined to a body, and your earthly self. It's being repaired. Something is being repaired in the inner realms, and that's the 12th house. That's Saturn and Neptune having moved through your 12th house and still moving through your 12th house for the very last time. Forgiveness. Do forgiveness of yourself, of others, if that's relevant to you, if that resonates. Sometimes we don't know we're holding something against ourselves. It can be very subconscious. The 12th house is very subconscious, so keep that in mind. This is so beautiful. I sense like paying homage to your past selves, the parts of you that have experienced pain over lifetimes, the relationships that you've had where there have been misunderstandings, where there's been rifts. That's being repaired. Your guides, your angels and ancestors are helping you repair this. All you have to do is forgiveness, and you will be doing your part. Beautiful Aries, if anything I shared resonates and you want to share with me, with us, I would love to hear. Pisces. Hello, beautiful Pisces. Pisces, I think this is going to be a month that feels very possibly like a breakthrough month for you. You could have a breakthrough in how you spend your time, whether you call it a profession or a vocation, or your focus on how you want to express your life purpose, legacy, or retirement for some of you. You could have a breakthrough in that area of your life that could end up influencing your home or your family situation. So let's talk about this. The month opens with the sun still in fiery, fun-loving, freedom-seeking, adventurous Sagittarius. This is it's not just freedom seeking, it's seeking expansion, Sag energy. It's spiritual beliefs. Jupiter ruled. And that's where you have your 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose, and fulfillment, and retirement, semi-retirement. That's where we often do have a vocation or a desire to match how we earn our money with what brings us deep fulfillment. So not only is the sun transiting through Sagittarius in your 10th house, we've also got Mars, which is really motivating for you in this 10th house arena, and also Venus and Mercury. And Mercury went retrograde partly in Sagittarius, and it's going to go back through the post-shadow period. It's going to retrace its steps and then continue on in Sag. So there's something moving and shaking for you in this area of your life. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you want to share. Here's the thing, though. With all these planets in Sag this month of December, they are going to take their turn squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Saturn and Neptune doing its final pass in Pisces in, of course, the first house of you, Pisces. I hope that you celebrate this. This is a final ending and culmination of a lot of surrender on your part, Pisces, a lot of saying goodbye to something, I think, for most of you, letting something go, especially if you have planets or points in the very high degrees. You have felt this in the last couple of years. The last decan, let's say, that's the 20s, planets or points between 20 and 29 degrees. But especially now, it's those of you who have planets or points between like 24, 25, and 29 degrees of your sign. And it's your identity, your roles, the status, the things that you do, the things that you have done. Some of you have left jobs. Some of you have left relationships. Some of you have closed out a home situation, or it could be all of the above, a career, all of these areas of your life, including partnerships, could have really changed. You could have had what felt like an earthquake going off in your life. You could have had passions come and go. And what you've been doing and what we are sort of tasked to do with, and that's a Saturn word, right? Task. What we're tasked to do with this very last pass of Saturn and Neptune transiting your sign, Pisces, as we prepare for 2026, an epic year. Yes, another epic year. I think a lot of us are going to feel this more epically. Is that even a word, epically? It's okay. I'm allowed to make up words. I'm a Gemini. But Pisces, and by the way, I have my midheaven in Pisces. I have my south node in Pisces. I have my Chiron in Pisces. So I have a lot of Pisces energy. But, all that Pisces energy that we share, we can be over sacrificing. We can just give too much. We can self sabotage. You could have felt disillusioned, disappointed in these first house areas, which is how you see yourself, your vitality, your health could have had some ups and downs. And you could really have felt this in your own sense of identity and self. Dreams coming and going. This whole chapter of your life coming and going, for sure. Having to set better boundaries, having to be more discerning. All of this for your greatest good, of course, your growth, and that's happened. And now we've got one last pass of it, and you could just be integrating the energies now. It doesn't mean there's going to be anything big happening necessarily for you, but because it's happening all month, the square to these high degrees of Saturn and Neptune in your sign, I think because Sag is such a buoyant, expansive Jupiterian kind of energy, you Pisces could feel, and a lot of us could feel, just a little bit of contraction, a little Saturn, a little bit of want want kind of energy. The Charlie Brown, is it Linus who has the blanket trailing behind them with the cloud of dust? There could be moments of that. But we don't have to let anything rain on our parade, right, Pisces? We don't have to let anyone steal our thunder or take the wind out of our sails. So keep that in mind. December 4th, which is, obviously the opening of the month, we've got the Gemini full moon. It's happening in your fourth house of home, family, childhood conditioning, roots, and belonging. It's a full moon in your fourth house. So some of you could be moving. Some of you could have a realization here. Some of you could be culminating a healing of your inner child or of your ancestral line or the mother line. Something could be, you could really be in that fourth house energy. Gemini energy is very social. So you could be having a lot of social activity, if not within your family unit, parties and so forth, or entertaining. You could also feel that in your career house because the fourth and 10th houses are always talking to each other, and the sun will be in your 10th house of career. Or retirement, life purpose. Some of you sometimes ask me, what if I don't have a career? What does this mean for me? And so, yeah, it's just the 10th house is how we spend our time, the majority of our time. And some of you could be choosing to retire with all the energy in Pisces. This is a wrapping up of a cycle, a chapter for a lot of you. On December 19th, I'm starting to lose my voice. These videos are long, these monthly videos. December 19th, the new moon in Sag. It's a new beginning, a new manifestational cycle for how you want to spend your time. And, Pisces, I think of you and I think of the Mary Oliver quote. I don't know if Mary Oliver is a Pisces, but she's a poet, which is so Pisces. You guys are so artistic. You are so, whatever you do, whatever art you do, most of you are an artist in some form, very creative. I love the quote from her poem. I think it's the Wild Geese poem. I could be wrong about the title, but I love the quote. Tell me, what is it that you want to do with your one wild and precious life? And some of you, that may hit some of you for this month in particular, given that it is the last pass of Saturn and Neptune going through your first house. I mean, Saturn will be back again every 29 years. 29 years, Saturn will be back to your about approximately to your first house. But Neptune, that's a very different cycle. And it's a 15-year cycle, and it's going to leave and go into your second house. And so we'll talk about that when we get to that. But this really is a big culmination for you, Pisces. It's a big deal. Something to celebrate, something to, I feel like, to just be really happy that you've moved through it moved through it. You have gone through a major evolutionary journey in your soul growth, and that's a lot to celebrate. The energy will shift when the sun leaves Sag and goes into Capricorn on the 21st of the month. On the 14th, Mars will be in Capricorn. On the 24th, Venus will be in Capricorn. So by the 24th, we've got three energies, the sun, Mars, and Venus, all in Capricorn. And for you, this is in your 11th house of friendships, community, your online presence, if you have one, any social media, even posting that you do, online dating for some of you, if you're involved in that, meetups, your allies, your supporters, I think I said friendships already. It's the world card in the tarot. It's a whole new cycle beginning for you. And of course, the sun is here this time of year for you. Every year, the sun goes through your 11th house. If you have your own business or you want to start something that you would promote or brand, these planets going through this house is really supportive of you. And if you don't, you could be joining a community. You could be tapping more into tribe. You could be tapping more into this question of what's next for me? What's my new cycle? That's the world card in the tarot, which is associated with the 11th house, is what is the next new thing, the next part, the next chapter, the next cycle of my life? What is calling me, right? What's calling you, Pisces? Very exciting. And you could be planning long distance travel. So that is your month, and I'm going to pull a card for you. And before I do, thank you so much for your time, presence, and energy for watching my video. Thank you so much for being here with me. I really appreciate you, and thank you for taking a moment to tap like, to comment if you want to comment, to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Thank you for your loyal subscribes. They mean the world to me. They really help. And let us see, Pisces, what the message is for you for the month of December. Pisces. Ah, such a perfect card. New beginnings, the Moon Maiden. And the Moon card in the tarot is your card. And here we have the Moon Maiden. Pisces, you are the Moon Maiden. Whether you consider yourself male or female or something else, you are the Moon Maiden. And I love this card because there's so much green, heart chakra, heart healing energy here. And the Moon Maiden is floating. When I look at this card, I feel like she's floating in water. You tell me if you see that. Maybe you don't. Maybe she's floating in the sky. She's flying in the sky. I mean, there is a cloud here. There's the moon here. Maybe she's in outer space. But for whatever reason, whenever I see this card, I feel like this Moon Maiden is submerged. I just do. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But she's submerged in the heart. She's submerged in heart chakra healing energy. And follow the moon. Follow the moon's guidance. This is saying follow your divine feminine energy. Ask the moon, perhaps on the Gemini full moon, for a message. A new beginning is on offer for you, beautiful Pisces. If you want to claim your new beginning, in the comments below, let us know. I would love to hear. Aquarius, Aquarius. Beautiful Aquarius. I think you are going to love your month of December. I think it will be social. It will be creative. You can really feel in community, which is something that a lot of you, that really lights you up. So let's talk about it. The month opens with the sun in fiery, fun-loving, freedom-seeking, adventurous Sagittarius. Sag energy is fire to your air. It harmonizes with you beautifully. And Sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury will all at some point in your month of December travel through Sagittarius in your 11th house of friendships, communities, organizations that are important to you, your online presence, if you have an online presence, dating online for some of you, going to meetup groups, or, just hanging out with friends, social time. Allies and supporters. If you want to promote or brand something, Mercury is now direct in December, so that's the wind is in your sails for that, and long-term financial gains as well. It's the World card in the tarot, and the World card signifies the beginning of a brand new chapter. So a lot of you could feel that with so many planets going through your 11th house. You could feel like you are starting a new chapter and you are looking through your telescope and you're deciding where you want to be, where you want to go, or maybe you've already decided. But here's the thing, with all this very expansive 11th house energy, really nice for friendships, with all this expansive energy, we have to keep in mind that we have one last pass of Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and the Sag energy is squaring that Saturn-Neptune last pass. Where's that happening for you? That square, that tension, that pressure you could feel is going through your second house of earned income, self-esteem, deserving, material security, and possessions. So something could be happening there for you, and it could have been for some time now because Neptune's been going through your second house for a long time, and Neptune can dissolve things. Neptune could have taken away an income for you. Neptune could have, you could have seen a dream or a vision die during that transit. Again, it's been a 15-year transit. And then we had Saturn come along the last few years, moving through your second house, which can feel like money is restricted. It could feel like you're working really hard for what you have, or you could have really been working on your own self-esteem. So we're wrapping that up, but what are we being asked to do? We're being asked to really be fiercely honest with ourselves about what's sustainable and what isn't. It's not necessarily a thing, a job, a way of making money. Could be, but it could also very well be just the way you go about making money, or the way you go about taking care of yourself, or how much you honor and care for your inner child or don't. All of these things are ways of being. That could be what's been up for you, or what is up for you this month of December with these square energies. They put us into action. They're saying, if appropriate, focus on your self-esteem, focus on the fact that you deserve what your heart desires, put energy into earning money if that's what you want to do, Aquarius. But be honest with yourself, because something could have been disillusioning or disappointing, or you could have been nudged to set better boundaries here, to be more discerning about how you take care of yourself or make money. And the message here is really that we can make small changes. We can work smarter, not harder. We can make little tweaks. We can fine tune how we use our energy in this area of your life. That can really improve your sense of feeling secure, materially speaking. And with the retrogrades of Saturn and Neptune here, and Neptune will go direct at some point this month. I talk about the dates for all of these transits in the first part of this video, but because they have been retrograde, you could be selling things, and that would be a good use of this energy as well, possessions. December 4th, we'll have the Gemini full moon, and Aquarius, you and Gemini trine each other. It's a really nice flow of energy, and that's happening in the lovely house of the 5th house of children, love, romance, creativity, your full unbridled creative expression. So something could be culminating here for you. For example, you could be publishing something that you've done creatively. You could be just really in your artistic vibes and doing lots of fun, creative kinds of crafting things, or whatever you do, however you express yourself, Aquarius. For some of you, with the full moon here, something could be, you could have a sort of a full circle graduation moment with a child, or a child could be going through something that feels like a culmination of fruition, manifestation. Love and romance are highlighted here for you. So again, it could be something that's manifesting in love and romance for you. You're deepening love and romance. You're walking away from a love or romance. That could be happening too. You could be saying, I'm tired of dating. This is the house of dating. Or, a relationship where you met somebody and dated for a while. Maybe that's going to the next level. On December 19th, we're going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. This is the beginning of a new manifestational cycle, planting seeds, and that's happening in your 11th house of friendships, community, online presence, the things we talked about earlier with the Sag energy. So this month, not only do we have all these planets moving through Sagittarius in your 11th house, but we also have a new moon here saying plant the seeds for what you want to see come to fruition. And for some of you, that could be a new business or something that you're promoting or branding. If you've created a product, or you have, you're writing about something, you're speaking about something, sharing a message, this is the time to maybe do a new moon ritual, plant those seeds in whatever way you do it, write things out. There's lots of different ways that we can do a ritual, but that would be really good for this 11th house. And maybe some of you are choosing where you want to travel or where you want to move to, how you want to meet new people, thinking about doing a retreat or something that's going to have you going to a conference, something that's going to have you, meet new like-minded people. The energy is going to shift. And remember, we're preparing for 2026. That is, December is in so many ways we're preparing for that a remarkable, globally shifting year. I'll do a separate video on those key changes and what's bringing those about, when they're likely to happen, as I find time for that. The energy is going to shift, Aquarius, on December 21st when the sun moves into Capricorn. And actually, you might even feel this mid-month when Mars moves into Capricorn. And then on the 24th, Venus will move into Capricorn. So by the 24th, we'll have the sun, Venus, and Mars all in your 12th house of rest, retreat, the mystic, the subconscious mind. You may notice your dreams intensify. You may notice that you have out-of-body experiences. Sometimes that can happen just when you're drifting off to sleep. You can find yourself rising above your body, or you could find yourself, I had this wild experience once where I was just about to fall asleep for a nap, and all of a sudden it was like this TV screen flashed in my mind, and it was like all of this, it literally looked like a TV screen. And it was like the static of a TV, the old TVs where we would see for those of you who are old enough to know this, we would, often get that static on the screen. Well, that's what I saw. And then all of a sudden it opened up and I was flying above, I don't know what planet I was on, but I was flying. And it was very real. I was very lucid. I was not asleep. It was happening in here. And I wasn't an imagination thing. It was a real out-of-body experience. So I don't know why that came up in this moment. I mean, obviously I'm talking to you about a potential out-of-body experience, but I'm going to trust that that was meant for one of you to hear. And I do talk about all of the kind of astral travel, divinely orchestrated, magical things that I've experienced in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, if that interests you. That book is really about life transitions and moving through transitions and becoming more of who you really are, partnering with your soul. But know that Capricorn season, of course, Capricorn season happens every year around this time of year, and it's always in your 12th house, Aquarius. And so for you, because your 12th house is in Capricorn, whatever happens for you, you ground it into reality. That's Capricorn energy. It's earth energy. You could find that you are wanting to create a spiritually based business if you haven't already. You could find that you are wanting to do more healing work within yourself or with others, or both. You could be coming more alive to your talents in this realm of channeling, automatic writing, talking to the divine, prayer, and so forth, and just these magical experiences we can have. And I just got the chills. Karmic bonds fall in the 12th house too. And there's a lot of energy this month with the Saturn-Neptune squares, with the full moon in Gemini squaring the lunar nodes. There's a lot of karmic, fated, destined kind of opportunities for some of us. And with this 12th house transit, you could experience that as well. Meetups with people, momentary conversations, and things where you're just like, oh my gosh, I know that person. I've known them before. So With that said, I want to pull a card for you. And before I do that, I want to say thank you for your presence. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for taking a moment to like this video. And for subscribing if you haven't yet subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. If you've already subscribed, I really appreciate you. Leave me a comment if you care to share. And let's see what the cards have to say for you, Aquarius. And if you're watching this on the premiere, thank you for hanging in there and sticking it out. I appreciate that as well, Aquarius. Your card is Skywriting the Fates. We just talked about the fated karmic kinds of things that can happen this month. And they, karma is not necessarily what we call bad, right? We associate it with, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. I have to pay it back. Da, 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 da. Karma is, in my mind, energy. What goes around comes around, positive or negative to our human mind. And karma can be wonderful, wonderful connections with people from which we grow and they grow. But here's your card, Skywriting the Fates. The fates have your back. Your soul has a date with destiny for you. It was written before you even got here. Before, you planned this out, your soul planned this out, a moment that could be happening this month for you. And you might want to also do some scripting or do some journaling, do some automatic writing to put you even more into the flow of what the fates have in store for you. So very cool. If you want to claim this in the comments below, I would love to hear. Happy December, beautiful Aquarius. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for being here for the December astrology, the very last month of 2025. If you would like to meet me on Zoom for an astrology consultation or for a coaching session, a clarity session, it would be my absolute joy to connect with you and support you. Go to my website, check out my offerings. For astrology readings, we can do a life purpose reading, a heart's desire, natal chart, relationship harmony, and very soon I will be offering 2026 year ahead readings as well. Check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. That should give you a sense of whether you feel called to book. And as promised, I have a free gift for you. That free gift is a soothing guided meditation connecting you to your divine guidance, giving you an opportunity to receive a gift from your higher self. To receive my free guided meditation, just go to my website, subscribe to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates direct to your inbox, and you'll get my free instant download gift at the same time. Let me know in the comments below any thoughts you are having about the month of December, and until my next video, I am sending you all my love.